And we are live. Welcome to everybody that's already been waiting patiently for the last 10 to 15 minutes for our TNF Watchalong stream to pop up. Uh, thank you kindly for coming to hang out with us this week. We have, in my opinion, a much better matchup on Thursday than we did last week. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, it's on paper, but getting to see Mac Jones in prime time is going to be fun. I think he's had a really good season. If you listen to the latest episode on the pod, we kind of went into his game against Cleveland and, some of the things he does well, some of the things that I won't even say he doesn't do well because they're not really asking him to do the things that he doesn't do well. But tonight, I think is going to be the Mac Jones showcase. It's kind of a very doable matchup for him against a not super talented defense. And, I think the line for this game was like Pats by 7. Seemed a little small to me. Like, I honestly thought it would be a little bit bigger, but I took advantage of it. So I took Pats at 7 because I kind of think this might be like a 10-point game. But overall, EJ, what are your pregame impressions? Pats
I don't
Falcons.
know. I mean, that's pregame impressions. I'm looking forward to it. There's good players on both sides of the ball. I mean, that's the case with any two NFL teams when it matches up. When you do draft work, look, both rosters have fun players. New England's hitting their stride. We talked about that on the podcast. They're really coming to their own as a team, which is what they do at this time of year. Bill figures out his roster and they start to maximize the things they do well. They sort of cut down on the experiments, the things that maybe didn't work so well. And they use it like a lab, and now they're really locking in for a playoff run, right? They're gonna make a playoff run here. And they think they have the formula to do it, and it sure looks like they do. On the other side, look, Matt Ryan's been playing as well as any player in the league that's getting very little press. Like, nobody's talking for the most part about how well Matt Ryan's thrown the ball. Kyle Pitts is what I'll just call quietly crushing. Like, we talked about Kyle like 3 weeks ago, and he had his 4 weeks ago, he had his big breakout game, and he's just kept it up ever since. Like, if I told you, Calvin Ridley was going to miss a bunch of time and the Falcons wouldn't skip a beat because they had Kyle Pitts, you'd be like, hey, pump the brakes a little bit. He's a rookie. Nah, like he's filling that role for them. I think there's some fun players on the Falcons defense. They haven't really gelled maybe as much as they'd like to or as quickly. And they're going to have a test tonight because, look, New England's playing a very high level. And if you make mistakes, Belichick's going to rip them open. I mean, Josh McDaniel, quite frankly, is going to rip them open. So I hope that we get to see a good competitive game. I don't know. The line seems like, it's on the road. That's, touchdown on the road. I realize Atlanta hasn't been playing great, but I don't know. More? I don't think so. So we'll see.
You know what's super interesting, by the way, you brought up Pitts.
Yeah.
So famously, the rookie tight end yardage record is Ditka.
Yeah.
At
Ditka.
1,076 yards. Even taking out the 17th game, if it was still only a 16-game season, you know what Kyle Pitts is on pace to get?
1,250.
1,077 yards.
So without the 17th game.
He's like a 0.1 yards per game ahead of Ditka right now. So but if anybody's going to, kind of pull away late in the season, I do think that Pitts has a very realistic chance of setting the rookie yardage record for tight ends ever. 16 games or 17 games, doesn't even matter. Because, I mean, they didn't really even use him, quote unquote, correctly the first few weeks of the season. And he's still on pace to set the record. So it's pretty insane from him. We got our first super chat from Just Vibing for $5. Thank you, sir. And or ma'am. I know it's still pretty early, but based off what you guys have seen from this year of college football, is it another stacked wide receiver class? I kind of feel like every year is going to be a stacked receiver class at this point, because now we have generations of kids that grew up playing 7-on-7 and going to receiver camps from, the time they were in third grade. Like they're coming out of the box ready as receivers. So yeah, this is probably going to be another stacked receiver class. And just like the year after is going to be another stacked class. And the year after that, like, I think the days of, waiting for every 2 to 3 years to to get that kind of crazy alpha class. I think that's over. I think we're getting one every year.
Yeah, and college coaches, we have very few college coaches anymore who are absolutely 100% like committed to establishing the run, using fullbacks, 3 tight ends. Like the 3 yards in a cloud of dust thing is few and far between. There's even fewer teams that are doing things like wishbone, wing T, flex bone, sort of very outside the box pro concepts. Everybody's throwing the ball, and they're throwing the ball with quick systems. And honestly, those systems were in college first, and they migrated slowly to the NFL. And now that they're there, you have sort of I don't want to say a perfect pipeline, but you have a very well-established pipeline of players, again, are getting prepped from a very early age, playing 7-on-7. They're going to college programs that use systems that are now very common pro concepts. They're coming into the league, and it's not, they still have to adjust to the speed, and they usually have to adjust to the complexity and the variation. In college, very few receivers famously run a full route tree. There's, they say get good at 2 or 3 things, and that's enough. So they still have to grow, but in terms of the concept, the way the offense is organized, whatever, the up to speed moment for rookie wide receivers is right freaking now. They can hit it in camp, earn usually the number 2 or 3 spot, and go out and put up 600, 700, 800 yards, even for, some lower round draft picks. And that was unheard of for rookie wide receivers, with very few exceptions up until 5 years ago. So,
and you also think, coaches are getting better at, the whole, like, let's do what they can do mentality. Like DK Metcalf didn't come into the league running a full mouth tree. Some of them. Well, some famously aren't, I should say. But like, DK Metcalf came in the league, and what they have him do? Slants, goes, curls. Now, year 3, he's running return routes on Pro Bowl corners and roasting them, and he runs a full route tree now. So it's like, yeah, I think coaches are finding better ways to bring guys along and accent their strengths and mitigate their weaknesses. It's probably going to be a theme of tonight as we watch this entire Patriots roster. But I think that's a big factor as well. Coaches are just better now. Victor Perez for $2. I have both Harris and Stevenson. Who starts? I lean Harris, probably. But, I mean, if you told me at the end of this game there's a 50-50 touch split where Harris is getting more carries, but Stevenson is getting more catches,
and it comes down to touchdowns. Really. For me, I think it
comes down to touchdowns.
Harris is yards and Stevenson is touchdowns. And so, which, Stevenson has to get the touchdown. It can't be the tight end option route that takes away that carry for him. But seeing what we've seen, it's like, are you betting on yards or are you betting on touchdowns? And that's the flip of the coin for me.
Either way, if I have both, unless I have like stellar running backs, I wouldn't mind starting both of them, because this is the kind of matchup where they could run 35 times. So it's like either way, they're getting double-digit touches significantly. So I wouldn't worry about it. But if I had to choose one, I'd probably lean Harris, just because we know we're a little bit more comfortable with his role, at least at this time. Ian for $5. Thank you, Ian. There are 2 types that handled the Pittsburgh-Detroit tie. Those that cringed in disgust, and others that laughed hysterically. You can probably guess which one I am. You are a glass half full type person, Ian, because you can take that gross imitation of a football game and say, you know what? I'm entertained. I'm finding value in my life for having watched this. And I appreciate your optimism. We need more people like you in this world.
Yeah, I think the cringe and disgust is at the regulation time, and the laugh hysterically is at the overtime.
That's a good way to split it. Where it's like, the 16-16 part was like, God, this is just bad football. But the overtime part where it was like, God, this is great television. That's how I look at it. Andrew for $5. It's early, but where do you think the Raiders go in the draft? Mayock most likely will have his first draft without Gruden, which, I mean, honestly means it's Mayock's first draft. I don't think he really got to make many picks beforehand, is what it sounds like. It sounds like it was all Gruden, which is why they all came from Bama and Clemson and nobody else, because I guess those are the only teams that Gruden was watching on ESPN. Wide receiver and offensive line are a big need to be. I agree. It's, for more reasons than just the Ruggs thing. Like, they still need more guys, So wouldn't be shocked if they go back to that well in another strong receiver class and hope they just get it right this time. Offensive line, I mean, you and I said it at the time, the Leatherwood pick at 17, when Christian Darrisaw was on the board, we were kind of like, not sure about that. And he's since got moved to guard, where he played a little bit better, but he still hasn't been amazing. So yeah, they're probably going to have to look again at tackle, because I kind of feel like Leatherwood's just going to end up at guard long term for his own sake. And so what? That's the last 2 first-round picks that are still positions of need. Not great, John. Not great.
Not great, Bob. No, it's, they probably have some defensive pieces they want. That, Damon Arnett's moved on, and I could see them going corner in a good corner class in the AFC West. Wide receiver, I think they can wait and go for a more specialized role. I think Edwards is going to ascend pretty quickly into their do everything guy. And you can tell they're looking for speed. They're trying to re-sign people. They went out and got Sean Jackson, and they could wait and go for a speedster at wide receiver, whereas you can't wait and get a true boundary corner. And they thought hopefully that they were getting that in Arnett. It didn't work out. They're going to have to pick that higher. Offensive line, I think, kind of always, not only because of what they have, but because of turnover, right? Not all the guys on their line are locked up. Some are going to move on. There's an opportunity to upgrade if they choose to do that. You can do it in free agency or the draft. If they like somebody, again, that they could get in the mid rounds, I could see corner up high. I could see offensive line and speedster wide receiver being sort of interchangeable if they pick one at 3 and the other one at 4, or, maybe a little higher up if there's somebody they love. Those aren't bad targets, but I don't see them prioritizing a tight end. Why would you? They're set at quarterback. They have a lot of pieces on the defensive line. They've paid pretty big money in free agency for linebackers. Safety, there's some safeties out there in this draft that they could go for if they want to range safety.
But I mean, they just
took
Merrick. You think they're going to move Abram?
I think we'll see.
Because they just took Merrick and Gillespie and Divine Diablo. I don't know. I feel like that's the one spot.
But I feel like Diablo. You're right. So they're not trying to replace Merrick. Merrick would be their range safety. Gillespie, you and I both think he should probably play beside Merrick, and that would be ideal. And that would allow them to move Abram down and use Divine Diablo as a sort of, I'm just going to coin the term, like a power star, right?
Yeah.
That you could just use as a wild card in and around the sort of 5 to 7 yard area inside the hashes, and just have him match with people because he's got corner skills, but he's got size to be a dime backer. That would be a really interesting defensive alignment for me. So
I mean, when the Abram thing is frustrating, because you look at what happened against the Chiefs game, and he gave up 80 yards alone on 5 catches to Kelsey. So it's
he's
safety
not a
that can't cover. No,
he's not a coverage guy, but he's been playing really well when they've moved him down this year. We saw him in first game.
I kind of wonder if he's going to go the way of Mark Barron.
Yes, absolutely.
Just get him up to 225 and just have him play.
Honestly, with all the guys that are playing, I used to say that I can't do it if he's not 220. There's so many guys playing at 213, 215, 218. If he's 217 and he hits like that, I don't really care. Right?
Yeah, you're not wrong. But either way, the hard part with the Raiders is we don't know what their record's going to be, because they're one of the most unpredictable teams in the league. So it's right now I'm thinking, okay, they might have a shot at Stingley, or they might have 0 shot at Stingley, or anyone even remotely close to Stingley. So
yeah, I don't think they'll get Stingley. I hope they don't. We talked about that on the podcast this week. That is this the indicator in the well that the Raiders are going to start to slip and have that sort of very
Typical.
historically accurate second half slide for them? Or are they going to rebound? I'd like to see them rebound. They have enough talent that it would be fun to see them make a run, but we don't know. So, but either way, I think they've already won enough games that Stingley probably, if his health comes through, he's going to be out of reach.
Probably. Autumn for $2. Welcome back, Autumn. How you doing? Mid-season projection reset on the Bengals. Ooh.
Because the graph goes like this. The graph goes not great, figuring it out. Holy cow, they've got it together.
Yeah.
What the hell happened? The wheels fell off. So like mid-season, we're at this like, well, we've had down, we've had up, and now we're kind of back down. Is it going to be like that? Or are we going to start to see them kind of even out? Because it felt like they had it to me and they lost it. And I think that's a sign of a young team, like a team that's learning to do it consistently. Because we've seen them do it. Like they can blow the doors off people when they put it together. But kind of feels like you need to bring that every week. And that's kind of what the Patriots do in the second half of the season is they are not an easy out from now on.
The good news for us is the last two teams we just talked about, the Raiders and the Bengals, we can't really figure out because they're in that AFC tier that can like beat anybody or lose to anybody, and they play each other this week. So that might help us figure out a little bit more about both of them. And we're also kind of at the point in the season where both teams historically, it's like put up or shut up time where it's like, are you real or are you not? You know, Bengals have an opportunity to get off the schneid coming off a bye this week against a similarly talented Raiders team. I'm very curious about that game because I can't get a read on Cincy and I can't get a read on Vegas. I have no idea what's in store for last. Like I know Buffalo, I know Kansas City, I know Tennessee for the most part. I don't fucking know anything about the Bengals or Vegas. Like I know their roster, but like I can't project them. They're such a wild card.
So we have a haircut question, which I have to answer. It says, did EJ get a haircut? And EJ did not get a haircut, but EJ is not wearing headphones tonight. So like you could see all of EJ's hair. And EJ's hair is just weird because when it's short, it goes better to the other side. And when it gets a little bit longer, it needs to go over to this side. So we hit that line of demarcation this week where I was like, nope, I need a haircut, but I haven't got one. So I got to start putting it to the other side or it's just going to look like a haystack. So no haircut, but yes, different. So there you go.
Did y'all hear the report that Derrick Henry's expected back by early January? Yeah, but I mean,
foot fractures
foot fractures are so finicky that it's like you're not getting Derrick Henry. You're getting Derrick Henry, but not like Derrick Henry. If that makes sense. Like this is not going to be a 30 carry, 180 yard bruiser. Like it might be like a 12 carry. We'll see if he breaks one type Derrick Henry, but that's not really like his best style anyway. So I hope what I want is I don't want him to rush back and get hurt again. No. Especially if he's only going to be like 75%. Because again, foot fractures, like you don't mess with those, dude. They're so fragile.
And not so at his size and his position, right?
Yeah.
He carries enough weight that he's not your typical, 205, 210 pound running back, right? He's right up around 250 and he plays a position that everybody's feet are really important in football, but he plays a high wear position where people are falling on his feet all the time. Linemen can step on your feet. Defenders are grabbing your feet and twisting them. Like it's a high wear position. So I'm with you. Like if he's not fully 100% sort of bulletproof healed up, why do it?
Have you ever been to this stadium, by the way?
What's that? I love Victor Perez. No offense. It always starts off with no offense.
But I'm starting Stevenson. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Have you been to this Falcon Stadium? They just showed a shot of it.
Have I been to it?
Yeah.
No, I want to go. It's amazing. And yes, we saw the Paul Rudd pregame video, but I was listening to I was watching the chat and kind of watching it out of the corner of my eye. But Paul Rudd's amazing. That guy can do anything. It's crazy.
It really is an amazing building. The problem is if you're doing a weeknight primetime game, those stands are going to be fucking empty because you can't get to it.
Yeah,
Like
no, they showed
the traffic is so bad.
Yeah, my sister
So
lived in Atlanta
bad.
for like 10 years, and Atlanta traffic is legit. Like Atlanta traffic, LA traffic, DFW traffic, obviously New York City traffic, Boston traffic, but like Atlanta traffic is not playing. Like,
There's not going to be people there in the first half. It's like by third quarter, people will be in there, but like just trying to get to it on a Sunday. About this time of year, I think it was November. Trying to get to it on a Sunday morning was a fucking nightmare. And people say, "Oh, just take the train. Just take the
yeah,
train."
Len says
It's like,
DC traffic. I grew up with Beltway traffic a little bit, Atlanta. Yeah, you're not kidding. Like Beltway traffic is just don't bother. Like it's not great.
it's still nothing compared to LA though. Like
Yeah, LA was like traffic before traffic was cool, right?
people come here and they're like, "Oh, it really is bad." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah. You think what you're dealing with is traffic. You're dealing with a
See,
mild
this is where we could have the
inconvenience."
story podcast because I could tell you the story about the first time that I was old enough. Well, no, I think it was the first time I was in LA. I was 18 and went to drive, and we had to get up and go somewhere, and it was pretty far. It was basically kind of from your house across to almost the beach, like all the way
Oh,
across. Yeah, like
oh
all the way
god.
across, right? East to west. And we had to be there for it was like an 8 a.m. start or something. And he was like, we need to get up at like 3:45 because we have to leave the house at 4. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm looking at the distance on the map, and he's like, because if we leave at 4, we'll make it there in like an hour and a half. And I was like, yeah, we'll be super early. He goes, if we leave at 4:15, it'll take 4 hours. And I was like,
He's not wrong.
and he wasn't, and that was a million years ago. But I was like, huh? And he was right. So we rolled out of bed. We were college kids, rolled out of bed at 3:45, rolled out of the house at like 4:05, and he's like, come on, come on, come on. And we made it in time. But yeah, no, LA traffic is a whole different thing. All
Yeah,
right, we got a
we
football
don't
game.
measure in miles down here. We measure in minutes.
Yeah, and wait till it rains, and then the radio stations are reminding you, hey, everybody, you have to use your wipers. I love that part. That kills
They
me.
exist.
Yeah.
Here we go. Got kickoff from Young Wei Koo. By the way, I love that Young Wei Koo turned around his career. It became like a fucking monster after
Yeah,
leaving
he's a
the
beast.
Chargers.
And Amina Kime's favorite, Young Wei Koo.
He's amazing. Again, career started off rocky, but
Well, so many kickers though bounce around, bounce around, bounce around, and then like hit that groove and
yeah,
the middle of their career. Oh,
it's
there you
such a
go.
mental position. You might be
Yeah.
ahead of me, by the way.
Oh, a little speed out to Myers. And we'll see a lot of those tonight until the Falcons try and come up on them. And then, Josh is just waiting. Josh just
I haven't
waiting.
even had the first play yet, so you're way ahead of me.
Oh, well, I'm just watching it on Prime. So
Maybe I'll have to pull it up on Prime. I'm on Game Pass, but Game Pass kind of
oh yeah.
sucks. So
But you're bouncing the Game Pass through the Inspector Gadget 18-point
that's
scrambler.
true. It thinks I'm in Germany right now, so there's that.
Yeah. Oh,
Hold on, drop the link to the Amazon in our private chat. I'll just click on that. It's probably like you might be like a full minute ahead of me.
Yeah. Well, 3rd and 4. So we'll see what goes on. But this is like boxers in the first first half of the first round, right? Figuring out reach, trying not to put your face in the way of something.
Oh man, a fullback with a neck roll. You love to see it.
Dude, neck rolls are back. Like that's one of my favorite unheralded storylines of this season. Like you didn't see neck rolls. They just disappeared completely. Ooh. It was a shot to who? Hunter Henry? No. Yeah, Hunter Henry just missed him. Oh, but flag. Oh, private chat. There we go.
Yeah, it's such like a Lorenzo Neal aesthetic that I miss, man.
And the new ones are cool. Have you seen the ones that are like integrated with the pads, like
yeah,
low profile cup ones that I don't know. I think they look awesome. It's not the old big foam roll that goes up to your ears. I never or the cut ones that look like horseshoes. It came down to points, like the old Eric Dickerson one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yes, that's showing my age. Half the people on the stream or more are like, who's that?
I would hope not.
I would hope not too, but I bet they are. So if we had, do we have polls? We don't have polls on StreamYard. We should put a poll like, do you without looking it up know who Eric Dickerson is?
Oh, it said I
And
can't watch it on a VPN, but I can't turn off the VPN or the stream dies. So I guess I'm just going to be behind you.
all right, well, and I have jokes, but we're not going to do that.
Phrasing. Jack Smith for $2. What are your guys' thoughts on the USC head coach job? Well, it's not going to be Mel Tucker. I think we figured that out.
Mel Tucker.
10 years, 95 million.
No, I would. That is the ultimate. Oh, great, another speed out. Surprising. Oh, guess who caught it though?
Before the play happens, N'Keal Harry.
Yep.
Hey,
That's the only reason it's interesting. Rashid says he's around my age. You have no company worries. Awesome. Thanks, Rashid. Hate to be the only one out there. EJ's super bubbly commentary. Oh, not yet. I have not yet begun to super bubble. Oh.
Max hitting these throws though.
Yeah, I mean
the Harry speed up.
That sort of who you started thing. I think I don't know. It's so weird to see. I know this doesn't probably affect non-Bears fans, but Bullard in a Falcons jersey.
I forgot he was in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing. It's like, wait, what? It's not
Completely
because he was
forgot
such a star in Chicago that I can't stand to see him in another jersey. It's more the like, oh yeah, you're there.
Yeah. So Ramondre get another carry. I don't think Harris has gotten a snap yet, has he?
I thought that one in the middle of the line was him, but I might have missed it. Or almost the middle of the line, right guard.
Ooh, well, I will say, punt. Like,
nice punt.
In the preseason, we loved Ramondre, so like I'm not super shocked to see him get touches.
We got a Larry Borum question, and yes, I have thoughts on Larry Borum. I actually gave some of them. I was somebody said earlier it was nice to see me on the Ravens Film Study podcast, which was a podcast I went on right after we recorded Bootleg, as a matter of fact, and it came out this morning with Ken, who does the Ravens Film Study podcast. Amazing host, super detailed, super thorough. Was really honored to be asked because he has expectations of his guests, and I was happy that he thought I might meet them, and that seems like maybe I did. So yeah, thanks for listening to that. It was cool, great experience. But we did talk about the offensive line. We did talk about Borum, and Borum's going to get a lot of spotlight here because Tevin Jenkins has been removed from. Basically, they've started his evaluation window for injury, so he's back at practice, and there's a lot of talk about where. And the weird part, or the funny part, is the Bears line is just starting to round into some kind of form, any kind of form. And so Peters has been playing great at left tackle. Whitehair has not been playing great, but I'm not sure you want to play Jenkins at guard. Mustafer could be used to be replaced, but I know Jenkins has never taken snaps at center, not meaningful ones. James Daniels is good, leave him be. And then right tackle has been this kind of rotating of Fetty. It was Borum a little bit. People got hurt, and they just haven't had any consistency. Well, Borum came back 2 weeks ago, and he's looked pretty solid. Like, not tremendous, but you don't need that as long as he's not showing up on every play, getting beat or getting thrown to the ground. Like, he's been pretty good. He's a young player. He's athletic, and it's sort of like, do you want to mess with that mojo? Just bringing Tevin back, who's a guy that had no reps in camp, has really no chemistry. Chemistry is a big thing on the line, knowing your line mates. So the weird thing is there's not an like plug and play spot to drop in Tevin Jenkins. And it's because of Larry Borum, of all things. Like, Larry Borum's playing pretty well, and you kind of want to leave him there, especially if that, they think they're going to play Tevin at left, which is what they said. That was their plan. He came out this week and kind of muddied the water and said, I'm actually more comfortable at left now because I've been taking all my mental reps there. So that just further kind of throws another straw in the drink. It's a weird situation. It's a puzzle. There's no great answer without a kind of major shuffle. So I like Borum. Certainly what he's done the past 2 weeks has been pretty impressive at right tackle. It's just a show me more thing. Leave him be.
And worst case scenario, if the Bears have 3 competent tackles instead of 2, I would take that scenario all day long. By the way, Jack, to answer your question, give you an actual answer, Luke Fickle's probably their best hope. I don't know if they're going to get him because he's kind of making a run with Cincinnati right now. Um, but if they do get Fickle, that would be ideal for them. All right, I got 1st and 10 here.
Yeah, run up the middle. Not much.
Oh, we might be even now. Did that play just happen for you too?
Yep. We're on to Matt
go.
moving things around. There you go. You're
There we
speeding up.
go.
We
All
need to
right, we're
talk
good.
about
We're
the
good.
uniforms.
Dude, those matte black helmets. Oh my
The
god.
matte black helmets are killing. Like, those things are amazing.
Sick beyond belief. Like honestly, like immediately to the top of the helmet power rankings, like right next to the Vikings, matte purple. Matte helmets in general are just gorgeous.
Yeah,
There you
and
go.
honestly, you're putting these up against color fade uniforms. Like, that's not even a fight.
Dude,
Like,
the
that's
throwbacks are so much better.
yeah, these are elite. They're really sharp. Well, we already have a few flags in the early going. We'll see if that trend continues. I don't know if you all saw the report today that usually points of emphasis decline, right? NFL officiating puts out a point of emphasis. They kill it in the preseason. Everybody screams. We get to the regular season and it slowly declines back to the mean, right? Back to what was close to regularly called. Maybe a slight increase, but not the big thing we saw. Taunting's gone the other way. So taunting has it dipped and now it's accelerating midseason. They're calling way more, which is very out of character, which I think Doug Farrar was the one that put out a tweet today. It basically said somebody at Park Avenue's got a dog in this fight, right? Somebody's got a very strong interest in this one.
And their name is John Mara.
Yeah. So it's but so many coaches are coming out in support. I mean, Jeff Schwartz went after Matt Nagy today because Matt Nagy said the dumb old like kids watch our game, and I'm like, kids have always watched the game, and you used to show Lawrence Taylor ripping people's entrails out on Sunday, like and glorify that. So don't tell me about kids watch the game. Like I watch that.
But then
stuff.
also the league is like promoting Cam shouting "I'm back" all week long. So it's like you're promoting it.
And a guy, a guy that we talked about on the podcast, Spencer Brown, did the exact same thing as Cassius Marsh, right? 2 weeks earlier, Spencer Brown like took his helmet off midfield and looked at the other sideline and was like puffing himself up and like posturing. Oh, well, kind of seems like posturing to me.
Oh, is that Duggar? Duggar on Pitts? I think it was.
Yeah.
Oh, great job playing through the hands. I fucking love Kyle Duggar, man. He's been a home run pick for them.
Yep.
Love Kyle Duggar. T-Mac for $5. How do you feel about Micah Parsons now? And do you feel he would have success on any other team? Well, it depends if that team would deploy him the same way that Dallas is, where they give him a lot of opportunities to move around, play on the line of scrimmage, because I think he's still more comfortable on the line of scrimmage going forward than being on the second level going backwards. Like he still has a very clear comfort zone, but Dallas is playing into that. And so the question is like, would he be successful anywhere else? It's like, well, if they used him like that, yeah. If they didn't use him like that, I don't think he would be as successful. So it's a testament to Dan Quinn not making him do something that he's not good at, theme of the day, and allowing him to thrive. But so far, he's had a very good rookie year.
Yeah, no, Parsons is amazing. He's a star. Like I know he got a lot of buzz during draft season. I know a lot of people talked about him and fit and potential role and what he was good at, what he was going to do. Like what he's done in the first half of the season in Dallas and how he's continued to add sort of tools to his kit. He's not great going backwards, but he is tremendous going side to side. And I mean, sideline to sideline. They had him covering wide receivers 2 weeks ago. And he had PBUs for the speed out, right? He's covering speed outs on wide receivers and doing it just like a cornerback. They have him blitzing. They have him run stopping A and B gap stuff. Like he's doing a little bit of everything and he's doing it all well. It's not just that, the guy they move around because they can't figure out what to do with him. He's having an impact in all of those spots, like showing up in big flashes on tape halfway into a rookie year, doing a wide variety of roles. Like, Micah Parsons is a star in the making. Like, he is playing extremely good football really early in his career.
So far, well worth the, what was it, 11, 12th overall pick they spent on him. Something, it was top 15. So far, been well worth it. Kel for $5, risking the curse, but Jordan Poyer needs some love. He's allowing less than 5 yards per game and a passer rating of 7.1. And I'll tell you what, allowing that little yardage in the system they play, where he's a lot closer to line of scrimmage and closer to the ball. Like, it's one thing for a free safety to allow 5 yards per game if a quarterback just never throws deep. But with a lot of the Bills' looks, Poyer they're either in true quarters, so he's in quasi-man coverage, or, they move him down as like a robber in cover 3 looks, or, he'll rotate back to free safety as well, and Hyde will come down. But he's around the ball a lot more than a lot of other quote unquote free safeties. So to only allow 5 yards per game in a position, or rather in a system where he theoretically should be more heavily targeted than a lot of other free safeties, speaks a lot to him. And I remember when he was coming out of, I think it was Oregon State as a corner. He was a Senior Bowl guy that year, and he came out the same year as Andre Hal, I think, and they were both two guys where I was like, they're corners now, but they'll be safeties later, and they were both really, really good safeties. Andre Hal just retired early, but Poyer's been. All right, you might be a little ahead of me again.
Yeah, no, Mac Jones doing Mac Jones things. So, a kind of a nothing play, right? He goes, this is third option. Johnny Smith is his third option on basically a short little out. It's not really a speed out, but like short little out to the tight end. Because he gets to the third quickly and just delivers the ball accurately, it ends up being like an 11-yard play. It was a 1-yard throw.
It doesn't make him turn either. It allowed him to kind of
No, absolutely.
Going towards the boundary.
It's getting through so he did 3 things there. He got through his progressions really quickly. He identified where he's going the ball, and he let the ball go very quickly once he got there. So quick release. And then
what a cut.
And he put it in a great spot. Yeah. Wink. Oh, by the way, speaking of great cuts, did you see CMC on Isaiah Simmons?
No, I didn't see it. Put him in a
Isaiah
trash can.
Simmons wants a hug.
Boom. God, I love Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah,
I'm so happy he's getting touched.
For a guy his size. Oh, there's your contact balance. When people talk about contact balance, that's what they're talking about, is taking a full-on shot and just not really letting it take you off your base. He spun out a little bit, slowed him down, but he was still ready to run after that. And Ramondre's feet are great for cuts, but also really good for contact balance. He very rarely gets hit in awkward position. Yeah, no, he's a really good player. He's going to be very strong for them, at least through his first contract. So
Perna cursed the Pats too. So I took him at 7, and Perna also cursed them.
Oh man. Again, stupid little wide receiver out, and he puts it right in his hands. It's basically a 0-yard throw. It's a half-yard throw, and they get 7 because he barely beats the defender. He puts it right on the mitts, and the wide receiver can basically just start cranking forward, and they end up getting like a chunky yards off a half-yard throw. I mean, it's running game as the passing game, or vice versa, whatever you want to call it. But
it's one of those it's one of those side adjusts. It's like built into the system where if you get 3-on-3 outside, you throw the bubble, because it's the equivalent of running the ball essentially. And you get 7.
Apparently, Mac Jones took sneak lessons from Tom Brady because he just got 4 on a sneak.
That's a long yard to run a sneak on too.
Yeah.
But you saw him kind of reset and kind of get around the guard and then go. He didn't just surge. He's like,
no, he ran.
I know where the down block's going to be.
That's crazy.
That's what a lot of quarterbacks don't understand. It's like, it's one thing if it's like, okay, you've got 4 inches to go, just surge. But if it's like a long yard like that, read the front, see where the down block is going to be, and just go around it.
There he goes again. He gets past. Somebody Somebody suggested that we have a drink or shot game for 28-3 being mentioned. That's a terrible idea. I don't
Nope,
like that
bad
at
idea.
all.
Bad
Like I
idea.
kind of dig my health, so I don't need that.
See,
All
that's
right.
one of those. That's one of those where it's like, if that's Justin Fields, he turns that into an 8-yard gain instead of like a half-yard gain. But
Yeah.
that's also why Justin Fields was seen as the prospect he was.
Yeah.
Because
Straight
man,
up
he
fullback runs with Ramondre. Ooh,
could have took
Falcons came
that.
to play on that. So Max says, do you think the Chiefs are back? Does the Raiders using mostly single high make you skeptical of the great offensive game plan by KC? Well, a little bit, but we talked about this in the podcast. Putting Abram in too high isn't any better because he kind of isn't there. So, and it's a little bit limited by the personnel they have. I mean, they drafted a guy for that. They drafted 2 guys for that. One they haven't played. You said Gillespie was dinged up, and then Divine Diablo got hurt early, so they're a little undermanned for what they maybe wanted to do. I think we're going to have a couple of reality checks for the Chiefs over the next couple of weeks that are going to tell us a little bit better. But they did look more together, just regardless of defense. They didn't look as inept, and that's just a weird word to use for Kansas City or Andy Reid or Pat Mahomes or them. But they have been fairly inept over the first half of the season. They didn't look that way against the Raiders. Yeah, part of that's, they took advantage of single high, and that's a defense they love to tear apart. But they also looked more together, so I'm not sure. Like, do we think the Chiefs are back? I'm not sure the Chiefs are back, but they looked more back than they have
Well,
been.
the good news is they're going up against another defense this week that runs a lot of cover 3.
Yeah.
They're getting 2 Pete Carroll disciples back to back with Gus Bradley and Dan Quinn. So might be a couple get right games for the offense in a row. The question is, can the Chiefs defense hold up against Dallas slightly better than the Dallas offense can hold up against the Chiefs offense? I still feel like Dallas is the more complete team right now.
Yep.
So if I had to lean one way, I'd say Dallas, but I also know that the over-under is 56, and that still feels a little bit low.
56.
Yeah, so they expect it to be like a 28-28 type. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I kind of feel like both
that's a
hit
lot.
30.
I see like 55 and up, and I'm like, oh, okay. You better be pretty sure they're both throwing a lot of points.
Mac was trying to go back pylon. Henry snapped it off to front pylon.
Well, it was
I think that
doubled
was
too. I mean,
yeah.
he had layers. He had a guy behind him and layer in front too. So one of the underrated things about Mac Jones, and I know this gets into the whole like body language wars, which I do not want to wade into. Mac Jones looks like he's having fun playing quarterback, right? He looked
Yeah.
like that at Alabama. He looked like that after games at Alabama in the locker room. He looked like that a little bit in camp. He looked like he was a little more like, I gotta focus. Like I gotta prove to this Bill Belichick guy that I know what I'm doing. Oh, Josh Rosen sighting. But he looks like he's having fun, right? He comes back to the huddle. He's loose. He's shaking his shoulders. He's laughing. Like let's have a good time doing this. And it reminds me of the Joe Montana story in the Super Bowl. Right? He leans over to Brett. He's like, "Hey, is that John Candy?" It stands right there. Is that John Candy? He's like, "Yeah, well, we're on a drive here, bub. Like, let's go." He's like, "Yeah, that's John Candy."
Oh god. But that also like calmed down the entire team.
Absolutely. And Matt
Guarantee
coming
you
in
that.
loose, like, "Hey guys, we got this. It's good. No, I'm cool. We got it. Let's go."
Yeah.
Like, that's a thing. If you've played sports and you've played with that guy, right? Or if you were that guy or that gal, like that comes into the huddle and just goes, "Yo, like, let's tear him up." You're like, "Okay, sounds good."
Let's do the thing.
Yeah. Have you been able to check out Stevenson or versus Atlanta or
Well, unfortunately,
Gaskin
we didn't get until after the game
versus the
started.
Jets?
But I would have said probably. Oh man, that's close.
Well, the Jets have been so bad on defense that I'm like,
That's what I'm
whoever.
thinking. Like, it's such a juicy matchup. I probably would have gone Gaskin just because they're going against the Jets. But
Yeah,
man,
the
it's
Jets have
close.
been horrible. Like terabad was the word I
Like
used on the podcast.
44 points a game over the
Yeah,
last
really,
month.
really bad. So
Browns
should
should
draft 5.
draft 5 wide receivers next year or trade up for 2 wide receivers. I don't think
They
that wide receiver is the problem.
Yeah, I don't think they need to draft 5 for sure. Like, because they really haven't had a full scale OBJ in a while. And DPJ looks good with the extra work. Sometimes when those great depth guys get extra work, you're like, oh, that's why they were a great depth guy. He hasn't looked that way. Like, he's produced. So we both like DPJ a lot. And sure enough, a Baker commercial, he heard us. So no,
It's like Jarvis is good. Their tight ends are
I'm like,
good. Their running
trade
backs
up
can
for
catch.
2. I don't know. Again, I think you've got some options, and I wouldn't mind them taking 2 necessarily, but it doesn't even have to be high. And trade up or pick 5. I don't think so. But again, it's a team with a depth chart that's pretty well loaded, and that's one of the great things about what Barry's done is that gives them flexibility to go places, right? If they just find a great player that they like, there's nothing they really like desperately need. So, maybe if it's wide receiver and they love it, they could take a wide receiver in the first. I wouldn't be opposed to it if they find somebody they really like. But 5, probably too many. I think they've got more receiving threats on the roster than they can almost even use right now. Not completely.
And it also just depends on the kind of receiver. It's like
Yeah.
you know, like a jump ball guy, like a Drake. I mean, they're kind of no shot at getting Drake London, but let's just say if you're going to trade up for one, Drake London and Baker, I think would work together pretty well. But actually Garrett Wilson too's got pretty good body control. But like a Chris Olave type, I kind of feel like they already have a lot of that in Juice and to an extent DPJ.
Oh
But
man, I
you
didn't
get him
check the injury list. Cordell's not playing tonight. That's a bummer.
ankle, I believe.
Well, we can call it a veteran game off at this point.
Well,
his career's been long enough.
30
Whoa.
something.
Okay, Maddie. Sorry, man. Look at that throw again. Most people won't think that's a great throw. Look at this throw.
From 22.
Look at that throw. It comes over Judon's helmet by 2 inches.
Ear hold him.
That's a great throw. A lot of people don't appreciate Matt Ryan for what he is, and throws like that they're not common.
That literally, you're not kidding. It was 2 inches from his ear.
Yeah, no, that's a great, and right in the running back's hands. Very catchable ball. Ooh, New England run defense is on point tonight. EJ here because of Bears over Beers, no question. Just want to buy you a drink for your entertainment. David, thanks for following me over. I think you'll have fun here too. For those that don't know, Bears Over Beers is my other podcast, my first podcast on Windy City Gridiron. We talk about basically we've turned into a preview podcast. We talk about the Bears opponent for the week. My other co-host over there, JB, and I have been doing it for 2.5 years, and we have a lot of fun. It's a good time. So, but I'm glad you found your way here because we certainly have lots more fun. Just as often. We go a little bit longer on bootleg, just so you know.
A little bit
longer. We're an hour on Bears Over Beers, and we're lucky if we hit under 2 on bootleg. Is it me or does Christian Barmore just look bigger than every other human on the field? I mean, good God, look at that pressure. The pushback on Barmore I got not being DT1 this year was weird to me. It was one of those things that honestly flabbergasted me. I was like, who then? Right? If you don't think really Barmore is the top, I loved
Onwuzurike, but I said the whole time it was system dependent.
Right, but he's also a 3 or a 5. Right? Depending on your system. He's not a 1 or a 0. Washington tried to use him like that. They stuffed him at 5 and used him like a 1.
No, if I was going to use Onwuzurike, I want to use him like Chris Jones. Get up the field.
Right. Yeah. Right. But Barmore is not that guy, but Barmore can do everything from 1 to 3, either side, 1 gap, 2 gap, doesn't scheme agnostic, Barmore is going to be able to do it for you. And he's going to throw you a little bit of rush from what is not typically a rush position. Ooh, nice. Oh, man. Devin McCourty. He's a veteran.
Falcons are staying in mostly 21, 12, 22. Like they're doing everything they can to
They're going
not have
layers.
to deal with nickel.
They're going layers on Matt Judon. Like they're running a chip and then they're running an outside layer and they got a guy waiting behind that. He has to go through 3 guys to get there.
Wouldn't you? I mean, with how he's played?
Absolutely. And I just have to say a huge shout out to Matt Judon for the red sleeves. Makes watching all 22 scouting like the easiest thing ever. So I feel like I should pay Matt Judon a fee because you always know where he is on the field, and that's awesome. It's like safeties that do mismatched socks. Like one will do a full color sock and the other one does a sock with stripes or something. And you're like, thanks, guys, especially if you're playing a lot of 2 high.
Yeah.
That's the best. Well, I had that story last year. I think I told you. I don't know if I told everybody else. When I was watching Ardarius and Merrick.
Oh, yeah. Where you
TCU.
had the numbers switched.
And I got the number switched and I watched like a quarter and I was like, man, he looks shorter than I thought I was watching Merrick because their numbers were backwards. And it was Ardarius, and I was, made all these notes. I just, changed it all to Ardarius after quarter. But I was like, man, I thought Merrick was the bigger one. Yeah. Anyways.
Tajay Sharp sighting.
What?
Yeah.
Yikes. Oh, Matt Hennessy. The much maligned Matt Hennessy.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, man. I loved him coming out.
Yeah, his versatility was great, but he is going against Barmore. Whoops. Oh,
yeah.
Jeez. That was actually
you watch Barmore every snap.
Yeah, but that's not a bad penalty. Like, I'm not going to get on Hennessy for that because it's like, I don't want to get Matt Ryan killed, so I'm just going to pull Barmore down here.
Oh, God. I feel like I'm watching one of those late night murder shows, just looking at Barmore on every play. Like,
well,
it's
I feel like I'm watching Mustafa versus even some fairly average defensive tackles.
Dude, Mustafa versus 35-year-old Sue was a
well, Domicon, he's I don't want to say he's generational, but he has
I would. Oh, absolutely, I would.
Strength and torque that very few football players have, and he will take a center that is in the Mustafa vein, who is a technician, who's a guy that works extremely hard to be on the field, who's quick, who doesn't have power, and just bend him in half. And he does it. He's done it to so many centers, but unfortunately, Sam got in the way of that, and there were some truly disgusting reps where Sue just basically took him and went, ugh.
You are my son now.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
William Reed for $5. Thank you, William. Do y'all believe Andre Patterson can make a good head coach? Ooh.
It's a good question.
That's a really good question. I mean, it's one of those where it's like we can't say no.
Yeah, because we don't know. I feel like coordinator is like a lot. Like, yes, we already know that level, but head coach takes you into this weird level where you end up dealing with a bunch of stuff. Depending on the franchise, there are very few like football focused head coaches. And I know that seems weird, but you just have your plate expands so much when you go from the coordinator level where the coach is telling you, yes, you talk to the media today, basically you're just building the game plan, offensive, defensive too. There's whatever happened. There's whatever civic engagement need, the new stadium, you got to shake hands, kiss babies, the whole bit. And a lot of guys just go, oh, wait, I'm not wired for this. I'm not wired for the Omni umbrella look at an entire organization, to be the face of that entire organization. That's really what head coach is. And so that's just,
he's an assistant head coach right now, but that tends to be like a trend in the NFL where it's like these guys that are longtime assistants that a lot of the time it's of a certain age where they're past the age point where NFL teams will want to hire them as head coaches. They'll get an assistant head coach title and a pay bump every other year to keep them from leaving because they're a really, really valued assistant. And you
Yeah.
look at all the defensive lines the Vikings have had over the years under Andre Patterson. He's made a lot of lemonade out of lemons there in some years where there were some years where they had a lot of talent. There were some years where they didn't have a lot of talent, but the defensive line was usually not the problem. He's a very, very good coach.
Tell
Can he
me
make
what
a
you
good
think of
head
that
coach?
rep from Mac.
All right, here we go. 21 personnel. Did he pump the flat and then come back to the curl?
No, he pumped the curl and went to the curl. He's like, hey, and nobody jumped, and he's like, fine. That was awesome.
Because it almost like he was like ahead of himself. Yeah.
Yeah, he had the flat, but he pumped the curl and nobody bit. And he was like, well, fine. I'll take it. I'll take the 8 yards. Like, sure, if you're gonna give it to me. That was great. Because he absolutely, if you were we talked about this, the baker versus the chef, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he was a baker, he would have thrown to the flat because it was wide open, and nobody would have blamed him for that. But that was total chef. Like, oh, this looks like I could throw it in. That's good ingredient. You're not going to go for that? Well, fine. I'll just take the 8 because that's guaranteed. Nobody flinched. You didn't buy the pump and he's open.
Dude, this Coke machine for a fullback that the Patriots have named Jacob Johnson is just crushing people. They are out muscling this team.
Well, the Patriots are going to beat up almost anybody they play, but watch this. Harris. Harris. Harris got run over.
I'm going to mark that down for Shot of the Week nominee because good Lord.
That's funny. That was Harris on Harris violence. We should probably catch up on Super Chats. We got a $10 one sitting there.
Let's see. Lee H for 5. Any thoughts on Larry Borum? Oh, I think you already did that.
We did that.
Get down there. Jonathan Beck for 5. You guys should have a drinking game. There we go.
No. we like to survive the game.
Absolutely not. I'm drinking coffee to keep myself honest tonight.
Are you really? I
did an all-nighter last night to get that film room out. I didn't go to bed till about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, in the morning, I was going to say,
I slept till about 2:30.
Like 8 in the morning to like, when I did the Ravens film study, we got done at like midnight. Like, it was like 11:45 when we got done, and my brain was all wired up. So no sleepy for me till like 2. And then last night I was up till it was after midnight for sure, which is pretty typical for me. But this morning, even after a decent sleep, I was like feeling it. Like the week is starting to stack up.
Yeah. Yesterday, I think I made it to 25 hours before I finally got to lay my head down.
That's rough, man. I've done plenty of those.
But I got it out.
No, I appreciate it.
So but I wanted to make my schedule this week because I didn't want to have to release it in the afternoon and have people not have time to watch it. So.
All right, we should slide down to the next super chat while we've got ads.
YOLO Swaggins, elite name.
YOLO,
what do you think about Cincy? Or what do you guys think Cincy needs to do to get back on track? Thought they were a playoff team after the Baltimore win, but last 2 games were awful. EJ mentioned it earlier. It's a young team, young head coach, young quarterback, young receivers. They're going to have a lot of growing pains, man. Young teams sometimes just piss games away that they should win on paper, and you can't really explain it. They're just going to lose to the Mike Whites of the world every now and then.
Yeah.
You look at the Patriots that also have a young quarterback, but they have a very experienced head coach. They have an extremely experienced roster. They don't lose those kind of games. It's going to take a while. But they'll get there.
Yeah.
Wansex Fidiwan. Wow, that is a name for $2. You've been able to check out Utah linebacker Devin Lloyd. I have not. Have you, EJ?
Yeah, he just accepted his Senior Bowl invite. It's one of those ones that got me excited. I put out a little sort of base tweet on it that said, "Yeah, I'm looking forward to this." He has some. He's got the movement qualities. Super active, nice range. Like, this is by no means a full scouting report. Do I like Devin Lloyd? Yeah, Devin Lloyd is going to get a good long watch and a good straight full 3-game write up from me, because he is a guy that I think can play in the modern NFL very well. Like, not just like he'll make it, but like he could make an impact.
What's his dimension?
He's not super big. He's fast, right? He's in the 220, 225 range.
Kind of what I
But
expect these days from modern linebackers.
yeah, but he moves like he's supposed to be that speed. So yeah, very cool player. You'll definitely be hearing more about Devin Lloyd out of us as we get closer to draft time. Probably see him in Mobile. Just accepted like a day or two, maybe today, yesterday. I don't know. Days blend together. But
I usually start getting to the Senior Bowl guys around December once the rosters are set.
Yeah.
So I know who to watch. So
I'll
probably watch in about a month or so.
Oh man. I feel for the Falcons. I really do. Because Josh McDaniel is picking up where he did. He's picking up where he left off last week. He's got a game plan that has them reaching, right? And he's almost, you can almost see him doing this, right? He's like, come on, reach for those edges, reach deep. I'm going to run these deep little outs. I'm going to run all these little wide receiver screens. I'm going to run, fake pumps to the backfield. I'm going to run hooks on the edge. Like, come on, guys, come on in. I dare you. Come on in. He's running a run to keep him honest now, but like he's waiting to see if they come in. If they don't, they're just gonna kill him with 1,000 cuts, right? Because they're getting 6, 7, 8, sometimes 11 yards, even on those little flare plays to the outside. But you can see him just kind of like, come on, guys, take a swing, right? Step up. Say you're gonna play press. Let's go.
Yeah. We're gonna get a shot eventually, but Mac Jones is not going to take a shot unless he gets a favorable look, which is fine.
Well, he is, but if he
perfectly admirable quality.
Speaking of shots, I'm just going to call it. I'm going to say what he's doing that for. He just tried it. All right. So the one I was going to say right before spoiler alert, Patriots touchdown. Everybody will see it in a second. What I was going to say right before they ran that was they're not going for shot play outside. They're going for shot play down the seam to Hunter Henry. Like, they're pulling them in and they're going to run it right up the middle in between the two guys splitting out. And they ran it as a clear out instead. And they ran the cross underneath and they ended up scoring a touchdown because Mac's not dumb.
And nobody cut it. That's the thing. There was no safety that came down.
No, they doubled. They doubled Henry, which was the route I was about to say right before that touchdown that they were going to run. Was to push Henry, and they pushed Henry up, and two guys followed him, and Mac was like, I'll take the easy money, and Aguilar took it in.
Where the fuck was the post safety? That's what I want to know.
So, anyways,
because I don't know.
Yeah, I'm feeling for the Falcons because Josh isn't doing him any favor. Not that he should be, but yeah. Where do you think the Ravens?
This is why I took the Pats. -7 because I didn't know
about the 7 part. It's not that I didn't think the Pats are going to win. I think they are. I was just thinking Matty in his own building. I didn't know Cordell was out. I didn't watch the injury report, so that's definitely for the way he's kind of touch and go. That's a minus.
Yeah, it was kind of touch and go. I think it came out either late last night or early this morning that he wasn't.
Yeah, I didn't see it. So that line makes a little more sense. But look at that ball though from Mac, like right in the numbers, right in the chest. Aguilar would have to work to drop that. I know he could, but certainly. And look at him. He's jacked. Like, he's excited. He's like, that's fun, man. And he's not wrong. Like, that is fun. Like, that's.
Are we going to gloss over them just showing a dude taking a piss on live television in the background?
You know what I really like is McDaniel has a highlighter and paper in a 3-ring binder. He's like, screw the surface. I'm not using the surface. I don't have to. I'm drawing with a Sharpie.
Alex Trace for $5. Where do you think the Ravens go in the draft? Mainly first down. Please get more receivers. I'm so fucking sick of Sammy Watkins.
Yeah, but you don't need to do in the first, right? I agree with you. They need another receiver or two. Like, this is more the Cleveland question we got earlier. Like, I wouldn't be upset to see the Ravens draft 3 wide receivers over the course of the draft. Like, they could use it. Like Bateman's good. Hollywood's better because Bateman's there. But after that, like some of the guys that I liked have not worked out, right? They've not been
And
consistent.
this Villanueva situation at left tackle not working out. Like
Yeah.
they got to get a like
I
if we're
would
talking about
say,
positional importance in the first round, because you're getting Ronnie Stanley back, but like Ronnie's got hurt the last 2 years. You need somebody
yeah.
that isn't Villanueva to either be right tackle, be swing tackle, like whatever. Like they are getting crushed by injuries on the offensive line every single year because they have no depth, and you've got to draft depth. They get hurt every single year. With how much they run the ball, they get hurt
Yeah.
every single year. So something on offense, that's what I know. Something on offense, whether it's offensive line, receiver, don't even care. Best player available to help Lamar Jackson because he can't keep doing this all by himself.
Yeah. Somebody said Nelson was out here catching strays. No, Nelson's out here catching touchdowns. I'm just ribbing him for his hands. But he got the TD, and rightfully so.
I missed the 3-hour
Ravens
bootleg.
I missed the 3-hour bootleg shows. We do, but only because we're nostalgic and the pain has faded.
Yeah. Come draft time, though, they're going to be back.
Well, they'll be back. In the preseason ones, we won't be able to help ourselves. Well, at some point in bootleg's future, we'll probably end up doing a preseason preview for each team because that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah.
I mean, we're almost there now. If we did a 45-minute preview for each team, the episodes would be just about as long as they are now. We're just putting 4 teams in one, which doesn't make a ton of sense and is actually fairly hard to do.
Man, do you know how long it takes to edit a 3-hour podcast?
It's not even that. It's the uploads. Like the uploads to YouTube, it's greater than a feature-length film, folks. Like it takes a while to get through YouTube servers. Like we can put it up and, you guys 6, 7, 8 hours later, like, where is it? We're like, processing, lost in the ether. Like that's part of it.
So and it's still doing its like content checks.
Oh,
so the ad revenue goes through it. Like it takes fucking forever. Spence Breed for $5. Thank you, Spence. Dallas has the personnel to run cover 2 with KZ and Hooker. Do you think they will run it more, even though it's not DQ's forte? This specific week is the week to run too high if they're ever going to do it.
Wow.
Like predominantly. The problem is for them, I don't necessarily like KZ and Hooker as run defenders from too high. So if the Chiefs decided to just run the hell out of the ball this week, which they don't, but if they did, they are not the safeties that are going to save you in terms of getting into the run fit from too high. So, spend the first quarter kind of in it, see what KC does, and then figure it out from there is what I would do. I'm not saying Dan Quinn will do that, but that's what I would do. Zacchaeus for a nice first down.
I was going to say, it's a really cool, for those of you, well, everybody that's here probably does because you're bootleg fans, but if you appreciate the nuance of the NFL, they're really fun punching match going back and forth between Arthur Smith and the Pats defense. And he's getting taught some lessons. He's definitely got some plays he's crossing off his playbook, but he's not giving up, right? He's gauging them. He's gauging them as much as they're gauging him, and he's definitely punching back. That reception to Zacchaeus was an example of, okay, you're going to vacate and shut down the things I want to do on the outside. Like you're doing on the outside, fine. Then I've got to go to that short middle zone on the hash. Matty did a nice job to avoid the defender and get it to Zacchaeus there, but really fun offensive defensive matchup. Oh, mistake. He just threw it too fast. Anyways, and the same thing on the other side, right? Josh McDaniel is absolutely poking the Falcons defense right now, going, yeah, he's got their number. So when you talk about those two primary matchups, not throwing special teams in, like right now, the Patriots offense is having their way with the Falcons defense, and the Patriots defense is splitting with the Falcons offense, which means, 10-0 New England.
Advantage New England.
Yeah.
I will say, I find it interesting that like between both teams combined, 5 minutes into the second quarter, I think we've had single digit number of total snaps in 11 personnel. Like neither of these teams are putting their receivers on the field, probably because neither one of them really believes in the receiving core that much. But
I love this from Zacchaeus, though. Watch this. He should have stopped right there, but he just carried it, and Matt was pumping at that point. He's in trouble. Like the route stop there, he buys another second and a half, and ends up with a very short 4th and 1, and they convert it. Nice.
Manning 23 for $5. Thank you, bud. Who should I start out of these wide receivers? Ayuk, Elijah Moore, Scary Terry, or AJ Brown. I also have Deontay Foreman and Michael Carter. Ooh, that's a good one.
Deontay
Foreman's played well. Hold on.
You mean Deontay Freeman?
Check.
I think that's
Deontay Foreman. He's also because when Henry went down, he's one of the guys for the Titans.
AJ Brown, Scary Terry. Who's Washington playing this week? I can look that up. Sorry, I have it right here. I'm just being lazy.
That's what I was just pulling up the schedule because I can't remember who they're playing. Oh, they're playing Carolina. That's right. That was one of our games to watch.
Oh yeah, Rivera versus Cam. Sorry, my bad. I wouldn't go big on Scary Terry with Heineke against that defense. They've been playing really well. Titans are playing. Who are the Titans playing? Titans are playing the Texans. Oh, come on, AJ Brown.
It's one of those things that, like, in a vacuum, Deontay Foreman is not as talented as every other player on that list, but matchup wise, it's like by far like the best.
Yeah, but he's got AJ Brown in there too. Like, if AJ Brown doesn't get a touchdown against the Texans,
that's true.
Come on.
But the Marcus, fuck, why am I forgetting his name? Marcus, shit.
Because there's like 1,200 players in the NFL. That's why.
I know. I gotta look it up. He went for like 100 last week.
Names.
Marcus Johnson.
Yeah,
he's been playing well for them too. If I was gonna, Ayuk's out.
There's Pitts.
Elijah Moore's out. I'm between Brown and Foreman.
Duggar just chucked the heck out of Pitts, and Pitts was like, "Whatever."
Ooh, I would go AJ Brown just because talent plus matchup, but it's close.
Ooh,
I mean, it's clearly close.
Bad sack, and he got hurt. Not good. Ryan just got his foot smashed.
How bad?
Not terrible. He's walking it off. His elbow's bleeding too, though, on his pants, which is great because they got the white pants. So Ryan's taking some shots. No, this is Kyle. Oh, he just came down on him. He didn't mean to. Like, he just rolled him. But his foot hurts right now a lot.
You can see him shout, "Fuck."
Oh, yeah. And he's got blood all over his elbow. Like, not pretty.
Matt Ryan bleeds every game, I swear.
Well,
I mean, with that offensive line, yeah. But
yeah, I was going to say it's...
Oh, that kind of looked like a bend that happens commonly with turf toe injuries, where you kind of are leaning
all over
forward.
His pants, too. Not great. Not great.
Kind of looked like his front toe went like that.
Or Liz Fry. Appreciate all the great content. What do you think is needed for Bateman to push from a safety blanket to a true threat? Time. He's only really been back 2 games healthy. He showed even in his first game back, like all his catches were first downs. We talked about rookie receivers having to expand the route tree and sort of just gain comfort. He's doing it really quickly before everybody's eyes. Everybody's just impatient because there was a training camp injury and he came back and he got hurt. And then first half of the season, he's basically out, and he's only been back for 2-3 games. He showed out in all 2 or 3 games, more than flashes. So just time. Like, that's it. He's there. He has all the skills. He showed all the skills in college. It's the reason we were excited about that fit. It's one of the reasons we predicted that fit multiple times. Just give him some time. He'll be fine. Like, he's good. He just has to stay on the field.
He's going to be their best receiver. He's very much in the mold of like a Keenan Allen type.
Wait a minute. Was that a penalty? They made him kick it again and they missed it?
4th and 19. 50-yard attempt.
But they made the first one. They made him re-kick it and they missed it.
Oh, it just hooked on him at the last second.
Yeah, first one
I
went
didn't see
through.
the I didn't
Must
see
have
the
been a
first one.
penalty. Must have been a penalty because they made the first one, and started looking at the questions, and I look back, they're kicking another field goal. I'm like, what? They had to have pushed him back on a penalty. That's rough.
But yeah, with Bateman again, he's very much in the Keenan Allen type mold where really, really great off the line of scrimmage, can beat press, great ball skills, more than enough speed. Like he's kind of like a true number one prototype type receiver. He just missed a lot of the offseason, missed a lot of the regular season. They unfortunately went up against a team that was running zero most of the time, where you don't get to show off as a receiver against that kind of defense because the quarterback has 1.4 seconds to get the ball out. So it's like either you're running a slant, you're running a speed out, or you're running a fade, and that's about it. So he didn't really get to show what he could do in that game, but he did convert a nice first down on a bullet slant that they never went back to ever again until they tried it with Sammy Watkins, and then Watkins fumbled and it led to a touchdown. So regardless, Bateman's better than Watkins. He's
Oh,
going to
for
be their
sure.
number one. You just got to give it a little bit of time.
All right, Brett, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to grab some more water. We got an ad, so I'm going to take advantage of that. And can I get anybody anything? Just kidding. I'm not shipping. But yep, I'll be back.
Okay. Mac Wake for $5. Who would your picks for rookie of the year? Not who you think will win, but who do you think has been the best rookie, period? Mac probably will get it because of his position. In terms of like non-positional value, like who's just the best rookie at their position, got to go Jamar Chase for offense. I think that one's fairly obvious. Again, in a vacuum, positional importance, everything like that, we could argue Mac Jones as the winner for rookie of the year so far, but just who is better at their specific job, probably go Jamar Chase. And then on defense, man, that one's tough because I think Azeez Ojulari's been really good. Barmore's been fantastic, obviously. Um, Phillips has had a lot of pressures. Owa has had a lot of pressures. I'm trying to think corner wise. Surtain's been phenomenal. Everything is advertised. Defensive rookie of the year is the really, really hard one. I don't know if I want to lean Barmore. I might lean Barmore, but over the last half of the year, now that Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is healthy again, like before Owusu-Koramoah got hurt, I would have said Owusu-Koramoah, but then he got hurt. Parsons is up there as well. Over the back half, oh no, Mac, what are you doing? Mac Jones just took like a 20-yard sack. Oh no, that sucks. Ooh, that was rough. Over the back half of the season, I do think that people are going to get a little bit more familiar with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and how damn good he is. But right now, I'm going to say 50-50 tie between Micah Parsons, Christian Barmore, or I guess 33-33 tie, 33 tie between Micah Parsons, Christian Barmore, and Pat Surtain. Final answer. Here we go. Trying a little tunnel screen. Get a lot of yards back out of it to Kendrick Bourne. Sets up a third and slightly more manageable. Finnegan for $10. Thank you. Really, really appreciate the support. Thoughts on Jonathan Gannon in Philly? Is he a bad DC or is he compensating for bad personnel? See, that's a great question. Let me pull up their depth chart because I want to read off some names for you guys so you understand what he is coordinating. I do think personnel is a little bit of an issue. So up front, you got Derek Barnett, who I personally did not have as like a top 20 talent like a lot of other people did, but that's where he got drafted. Has not lived up to it, in my opinion. Fletcher Cox is still Fletcher Cox, but again, he's a little bit long of the tooth. Javon Hargrave started off the season very, very well, so their interior duo is very good. And then you got Josh Sweat, who's inconsistent, but also has a very high ceiling, very athletic. So like defensive line is, I would say, at least above average. Behind them, though, you got Jannard Avery, TJ Edwards, Alex Singleton, Shad Bradley's more of a special teamer. Linebacker, not great, especially in coverage, not great. Like they really, really, really need help there. They need like a JOK type linebacker that can cover and play the run. They need something because they don't really have a whole lot there. Like Singleton gets a lot of tackles and everything like that, but they need somebody who can actually match up with weapons in space and cover. And then in the secondary, you got Steven Nelson, who, in my opinion, very, very up and down. Anthony Harris, Kayvon Wallace, Darius Slay, who I think is still a good player, but he's not what he used to be. And then Avonte Maddox, who I can't decide if I like him better at nickel or if I like him better at safety. You could still use more guys there as well. It's not as bereft, and Rodney McLeod there too. Not as bereft of talent as I think a lot of Eagles fans make it out to be, but it's also not great. Linebacker is like the clear weakness. Secondary could use probably at least 2 more dudes to push the current starters, if not outright replace them at safety and at boundary corner. And then defensive line could probably use more depth, but I think defensive line's like the one above average unit on the defense. So overall, I'm not ready to say that Gannon is a bad coordinator, because before Vance Joseph got all of the guys that he needed in Arizona, people considered him a bad coordinator. And then he got a bunch of new players over the next 3 years, and all of a sudden the Cardinals defense ended up pretty good. Carolina, again, had nobody. They drafted a bunch of young guys, ended up pretty good. So, let these guys get like a full cycle of player acquisition under their belt, get more depth, get more contributors, and then we can judge them as a coordinator. But for now, I think it's way too early to say that Gannon can't be a DC in Philly. I don't know if you caught the end of that, EJ, but
I did. I saw the question when it came up quite a few minutes ago. So thanks for asking that, Finnegan. When we were doing our divisional previews, one of the great things is the comparative thing. Week to week, you're doing another set of 4 teams, another set of 4 teams. And if you've seen our divisional previews, we go top to bottom, coaching staff, changes, free agency, the whole bit. And you get to compare coaching staffs, not only size of coaching staffs, but also structure. Do they have an assistant head coach, experience? Like, geez, that guy's there. He's got 27 years worth of NFL experience. Philly's staff was notable because it was one of the youngest staffs, and it had what I would consider one of the least number of names across the league. Doesn't mean they're bad, right? Good coordinators come from somewhere. You got to start as a young coordinator somewhere, but just across the board in Philly, like Nick Sirianni's staff was put together a little bit later, so he had a disadvantage there. He himself is a really young head coaching candidate. Hasn't been around the league as long as some more veteran hires, and there's just a lot that they're all learning together. And so to sort of put a stamp on any of them, whatever we're in, 8, 9 games in, seems like you got to give somebody at least a little breathing room. The personnel's okay, as Brett chronicled well, but to say he can't, like, do we really know? We don't know. He's had some good, some bad. He's definitely learning some lessons. I think it's like judging a rookie after 6 games, and people want to do that all the time too. Like,
or even the Eagles' own quarterback. People are judging Jalen Hurts after 12 starts, and it's like, can we wait a second?
Oh, by the way, one of your favorites just blasted one of my favorites. So Duggar just nailed Allison in the back. Oh, I refilled. Great brewery from Southwest Washington, 5440 Brewing, down just outside Vancouver. Red Zeppelin, good stuff.
But it's an amber, not a red.
It's an amber, but it's reddish amber, right?
Okay.
So there's not a hard distinction between reds and ambers when you really get right down to it. However, I do have a double IPA red from San Juan Brewing upstairs that is for serious. It's 8% and it comes in a 16-ounce can.
Judon.
Yeah. Matt Ryan getting the snot kicked out of him. Yep. Filthy
Look at
move.
the bend on this dude.
Yep. Uh-oh.
Oh my God.
Was it bootleg or
Judon.
Bears Over Beers where I had the beer explode?
Yes.
Yes. I think it was Bears Over Beers, but I had a bad one, like it had been shaken or whatever, and managed to keep. We had a guest, and we managed to keep it going, and nobody knew till afterwards. They're like, "What were you doing?" It was like I was grabbing the towel from beside my desk, like mopping up the beer. Not good. Podcasting misadventures in podcasting.
I'm just every time I look at the Matt Judon contract, it's like, what the fuck? Like, how is a player that good
Patriots.
get paid
That's how.
get paid that little?
Yeah, but that's it. It's Patriots. They always do that, right? They
Amazing.
wait. They sign somebody and like, how did the Patriots get him? Right? And that's typical for them.
I completely forgot, and I'm really pissed because I got a Nitro Cali Cream Ale that I completely forgot to bring up for this
Go get
stream.
it. I'll run it.
I'll finish my coffee first, then I'll go get it. We got a long time to go.
Yeah,
But
it's true.
it's like, I mean, there's cream ales and then there's this.
Yeah.
It's insanely creamy. Oh, people are gonna clip that and take it the wrong way. But
People take a lot of things the wrong way. If people take things the wrong way, they're probably not hanging out on our podcast because we certainly, or maybe they are because we're giving them plenty of fuel.
Anime Holic Tops. Hope I pronounced that correctly. Why have the Chargers regressed so hard? Young coach, young quarterback, roster turnover. Go for it.
Because they're running Oregon's game plan.
Oh, yeah, and Lombardi is refusing to stretch the field.
They're running Oregon's game plan. Like, the whole reason that famously Justin Herbert had rough draft evals was because they didn't let him play to his strengths. We talk about this with Mac, right? The reason Mac looks very good right now is the coaching staff is letting him play to his strengths and not making him play to things that he can't. Oregon famously had Justin Herbert throwing screens and outs, screens and outs, screens and outs, screens and outs all day long and running occasionally. And he's a very good runner, but they did not have him doing what almost, made him league MVP, last year, which was chuck it down the field. Yeah. And he's really good at chuck it down the field. And if you look at his throw charts on the NFL Next Gen Stats for the last 2 or 3 weeks, it's everything within a 7-yard cluster and 0 shots down the field. So they've basically switched from, again, they came out looking really good, basically running last year's offense, vertical threats, and he can make those pay. And they haven't even taken the shots in the past 2 or 3 weeks. So you're taking your best weapon and basically making the other team not have to defend him. It's so weird. Like, it was working too. It's not like the new staff came in and said, no, we're gonna change it up. They continued to do that for the first month, and the Chargers looked like gangbusters. They didn't win every game, but they were threatening people. Last 3 weeks, they've looked fairly toothless. It's because they're not throwing deep, and I don't know why. I don't know.
They continue to confound and bemuse, because if there's one thing the Chargers can do, it's confound and bemuse and be so promising and so frustrating at the same time. I don't know how Chargers fans do it, man. Because they just get the hope dangled in front of them every year of look how talented we are, look how amazing we are. And then they come out and I don't want to say waste of their talent, but don't play to their talent strengths. And it's what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah, and they started out, and you never know with the new staff, right? But they started out so strong, and you're like, oh, they got it.
The thing. It was working.
Now they're going to add defense to that. Awesome. This is going to be fun. And then all of a sudden just kind of fizzle. And you're like, wait. And you go look at the passing charts and everything's compressed. And you're like, what made you think that was a good idea? The other thing was why they were winning. It's just, I don't know what the answer is there. It's really, really strange.
They just showed a good slow-mo of that sack that hurt Matt Ryan, and that looks like classic turf toe.
Yeah,
that probably hurts like a bitch.
Yeah, it's very painful. Very painful.
Yellow
Oh,
Swaggins for the $5.
oh,
Also,
oh,
like the
oh,
greatest
oh.
YouTube avatar ever.
Yeah, for sure.
Hold on, let me see this play and then I'll read it.
Yeah, that was fun. That looked like it was over. It was a good, swarm forward to the ball, make the
Oh,
hit. And
you missed Mac taking a 20-yard sack, by the way, while you were gone.
yeah, somebody was like, I stepped away for a minute. I stepped away for a minute. Where's EJ? I was like, I stepped away for a minute. Where are you?
Oh, look at Bolden go. How about
Yeah.
it? Have you guys had a chance to see the Ohio State wide receiver duo? Yes, even since last year,
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
both amazing.
We were yapping about them last year, and it's funny because I'm very strongly in the Olave camp. Like Garrett Wilson's amazing, but Olave was like the guy, and I was like, if he comes out, and he could have, he didn't. And then Brett was like, I don't know, Garrett Wilson's pretty good.
Garrett Wilson's really good.
Yeah, and the bottom line is, look, they're both good. Like they're both real good.
And have you seen the third one?
Yeah. That's the thing is like it kind of reminds me of Alabama. Like when we were looking at the Alabama wide receivers, and there's like, Mechie Jr. is like really good. There's always
Smith.
another one, right?
Oh man, I gotta
the
look
name thing I was going to mention earlier. Alabama is unmatched at having star players with names that sound like the most vanilla former presidents ever.
What do you mean?
Go back and look at the Alabama draft list, like Jonathan Allen, Woodrow,
just the
Wilson.
most basic
like
names.
And it's so Will Anderson, and you're like, could we just the Allens and the Andersons and the Smiths and the Harrises? Like it's amazing. Like at least Najee has a name that like Scott Verve, right? It's very easy to remember. Like Najee,
it's like Steele. People don't even call Najee; they just say Najee. They don't even say Najee Harris.
Right. No, I mean Najee is the exception, but like all these, it's usually offensive line, defensive line, and again, the star of this Will Anderson. You're like, oh, come on, guys, give me something.
Cameron
I have
Robinson.
300 names to remember every year, and you got like 8 guys named the same thing. Oh.
At least the receivers are like Jalen.
Yeah,
Devonta,
receivers,
like,
the skill position guys. Well, Mac Jones is not exactly outside.
McCorkle's a unique name.
McCorkle for sure. Yeah, and Jalen Hurts, like quarterback name Hurts.
Although these days, because of Jalen Rose, there's a million Jalens out there, so sometimes that is hard to keep track of.
Yeah, and they'd spell it many different ways too.
It's just like Braden. Yeah. It's like 10 different spellings of Braden, Jaden, Caden. Like you go to a preschool.
Stearns. Yep. Caden Stearns.
Well, I don't know. Maybe up by you, like Pacific Northwest, like 40% of the kids are named River. So, I can't speak, but
I can't really talk. My boy's named after a tree, so
that's true. It's so Seattle.
Well, it's so Hawaii, but anyways, there you go.
Oh man, but yeah, long and short of it, Chris Olave really good, Garrett Wilson really good, very different types of receiver. Wilson's a little bit more of the bigger body guy, body control guy. Not that he's not a route runner and not a anything like that. Like he can obviously run really good routes too. It's just if there's one trait to highlight, it's body control. And then Chris Olave, amazing deep speed, amazing route runner, very Justin Jefferson-ish. So it's a great duo. Oh man, they're just leaving these crosses and overs wide ass open.
Yeah, Josh and Mac are taking what they're given like surgically.
Oh, it's a great route by Jacoby Myers too. I thought that was an over, but it was just a 7. It was so open that I assumed it was a route. It's a really nice 7 from Myers, though.
Yeah, Myers has had a good game so far.
And he scored last week. First time.
I know. Our national nightmare is over. Jacoby Myers has a touchdown.
Autumn for $2. Should the Bengals go O-line, edge, or corner in the draft? Ooh, that's a good question. Because it's tempting.
Oop, they got Mac.
Sack?
Yep. He didn't see him.
Let me look here.
He didn't see him. It's a slot blitz. He just didn't see him. He never looked. By the time he looked, he made like a half step, but he was already grabbing the ball. He knew it was happening. He didn't.
Oh,
He
you
knew
didn't even
he
see
didn't look.
you didn't
Probably
even see the
pissed.
nickel looking. Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably pissed he didn't look, because once he saw him, he's like, I didn't check that. It's like when you're turning left and you just look left. Then you hear
Brown
the crunch.
almost chipped him, but
Yeah, and then you hear the crunch. It was a good rush by the nickel. Like
good to
he
see.
he nice little weave to get around the edge and didn't waste steps, got right at him. Good tackle around the waist so he didn't get a penalty. Like it's a great rush.
You
But
gotta
Max, like,
gotta
I
go
didn't
for it.
look.
Go for it. You're a yard short. Just go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. They're staying on the
Oh,
field.
okay. I want to see who wins, Terry or Mark Sanchez. That'd be fun.
Got 10 seconds. Come on. Speed it up.
Nope.
Fucking go. Oh my God. See, that's a rookie quarterback. You should have a call in your head. They install this every single week. New England has 7 to 8 plays on one word. If you need to go, you fucking go, and you just say the one word, and everybody knows what they're doing. They
I love that
always
you're
have a
drinking
short
coffee
yardage
at this
call.
point. You should pour a bourbon.
I'm just saying, like, they always have a short yardage play on one word where in that situation, they can immediately get to the line of scrimmage and run a fucking play and not have to burn their last time out.
Ooh. Barely.
Oh, that's frustrating. And yeah, Brian Hoyer's telling him right now of like, you have the call, use it.
Yeah.
He'll learn.
Full Metal Savage, great question. Why did you name your son Mahogany? There is no way that I would name my son Mahogany. I love the wood, but if I had to write Mahogany on every GD form out there, I think I would probably slip. It would not be good. So no, he's not named Mahogany, but I love, I like Mahogany.
Yeah, it's actually Coconut.
Yeah, Teak. We named our kid Teak. Oh man, too funny.
Black Walnut Snyder.
Yeah. Applewood Snyder. Yeah.
Oh man. As for Bengals, what they should go in the draft.
OL for me.
Probably. Yeah, that's the thing. I was kind of between OL or edge depth.
You've got your quarterback. Like, stop messing with offensive line. Stop saying we got just enough. Like, don't do that. Like, do the Kansas City approach. Like, get a line in front of you. Have weapons. You want to protect him. You saw what happened last year when you don't protect him. Don't do that. Like, I think it's OL and CB probably higher because, yeah, we'll see whether they're going to go interior offensive line or, maybe right tackle. I don't know. But you could get a guard later down is what I'm saying. Like, if it's not a tackle, you could get a guard or a center in the third or fourth. Duke Manyweather just put out a tweet today that said there's going to be centers in this draft that go in the third or fourth that are going to be day one starters, which is really good news for teams like, Chicago, that really need a center and don't have picks up high to spend on one.
But I will say Linderbaum in Cincinnati would be kind of sick.
Yeah, no, I'm all for it. Like, give Burrow a line he does not have to be scared behind and watch what happens. Like, that, they've got enough weapons now. Uzama is super underrated. Chase, I like Uzama. Yeah, T. Higgins is good. Like, you already have 2 wide receivers, a legitimate threat at tight end. You've got Mixon in the backfield. Give him a line that he doesn't have to worry about, that can also go mow people down in the run game. Like, whoosh. Yeah, please.
Storm for $5. Since Aaron Jones most likely isn't going to play, Sanders or Chuba. If Sanders plays, start Sanders. It sounds like he's going to. Seems like he's trending towards playing. If not outright officially going to. If Miles Sanders is playing, I'm playing Miles Sanders because the Eagles are actually running the ball now.
Nope.
You want Chuba?
No, I don't want anybody going against New Orleans run defense.
You're not
New Orleans
wrong.
is crushing right now. You
But
remember
if
what they
if
did
the
to
other
Seattle
option, but if the other option is Chuba,
against the Tech? Who are they playing?
they're playing
Oh, they're
Washington.
playing Washington.
Yeah,
Yeah, with no Chase Young, like.
but it's about I don't know. It's kind of a matchup versus number of touches.
True. No, Chuba's not going to get the touches as long as CMC's on the field, but like Sanders might, but like New Orleans is the worst possible team to be grabbing a running back against right now because literally New Orleans they're on a near historic pace for shutting down the run.
I mean, at least like they'll throw to Sanders though.
Yeah,
There's
that's
that.
true. Yeah, you could get him some touches on the outside. And again, I like the Saints on defense, fairly underrated. Like the offense, a lot of people have concentrated on because Drew leaving, and that makes perfect sense. But like their defense is fired up right now, so it's tough. It's not that I don't like Miles Sanders, I do. This all comes down to like matchup and opportunity, and it is going to be, in my mind, either pass yards or short touchdowns if they get there. But in terms of like rushing yards, he's not going to get a lot.
I completely understand the argument. It's very close for me.
Oh,
I
I
would
would say
take
the same.
Sanders and expect the yards to come from catches, not from runs. And
I'd go with that.
I would just trust that he's going to get touches of some form. Let's see. Matthew for $10. Thank you, Matthew. Since I began watching Film Room and Bootleg, basic football content like ESPN has become unwatchable. Well, happy that we could help convert you to the light side here. Who are some content creators you would recommend?
Oh, great question.
There's so many that I could name.
There are
Brandon Thorne.
Yeah, Brandon Thorne for sure. He's been on Bootleg. I mean, a lot of folks that we've had on Bootleg, we've been lucky enough to have on Bootleg over the last year. So Danny Kelly at the Ringer, but the whole Ringer team, they just grabbed Ben Solak and Nora's there, Kevin Clark. The Ringer does a great job. Draft Network does a great job, and their alums are now all over football media industry. Trevor moved on to PFF. Ben went to the Ringer. Mark Schofield, who we've also had on Bootleg, is tremendous.
Absolutely.
He and Doug Farrar on USA Today's Touchdown Wire. Who else stuff? Oh, well, The Athletic. We've had a bunch of The Athletic folks on Bootleg. Jordan Rodriguez covers the Rams, but Ted Wen covers the entire NFL as X's and O's. Robert Mays and Mike Tice do a tremendous, or Nate Tice.
Mike's
I would
son.
say Mike because it's his dad, but Nate and Robert do an amazing job on the Athletic Football Podcast. Like that's appointment listening.
DJ and Bucky over on Move
I know
the
Mina's
Sticks.
everywhere, but like Mina does great stuff. She's still doing really quality content. So
yeah, DJ and Bucky on the Move the Sticks podcast for sure for me.
Oh, for sure. Come draft time,
in terms of YouTube content creators, Samuel Gold, good friend of mine, does great stuff. Alex Rollins, especially if you're a Niners fan, does a lot of Niners videos. I've seen Billy Stevens work. I like him. God, who else is out there? If you're a Raiders fan, Sanjit Tor.
Oh, Sanjit. We got to give a big shout out to Sanjit, friend of the podcast for sure.
God, there's so many. That's the thing is like the independent football media landscape now compared to like when I started doing Film Room 5-6 years ago, whatever it was. Yeah. So much bigger now. Like it used to be back in the day, like unless you were with a network or a publication, like it was impossible. You couldn't really make a living doing it. And now there's just so many avenues, whether it's Substack, whether it's Patreon, YouTube ad revenue, whatever. There's so many avenues for people to make a living with their voice in the football world. It's unbelievable how much the industry's grown. And I couldn't be happier to see that.
Oh,
people always
big
say,
shout.
like, are you... Go.
Big shout if you're a Chiefs fan. KCSN.
I forgot about them. Yeah.
KC Sports Network. So our buddy Craig Stout and Ken Stevenson and BJ Kissel, who used to be the team reporter for Kansas City, got together with a bunch of former players and some other analysts. They now have Houston is on their weekly podcast.
Justin Houston?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting that he's
they're going
playing for a different team, but still on their podcast.
Oh, is it Justin Houston or is it the other one? Sorry, I might have got that wrong.
Or are you talking about Derek?
Chiefs alum, not Derek.
Shit.
Anyways, KZSN, amazing stuff. They have great local partnerships. They're covering all the Kansas City sports, but they do a tremendous job with the Chiefs. That content is content that you will learn from. Like, you will learn about the game if you listen to Craig talk about defense, or, I mean, they got Mike DeVito and Jeff Allen, who are both former Chiefs. Like, that is a tremendous content resource. Kind of whether or not you're a Chiefs fan, it's definitely Chiefs focused, but you're going to learn things about defensive concepts, about scheme, coaching, players. Just, they're killing it. They're just flat killing it. So check them out.
Yeah, there's too many to name. Absolutely too many to name. Rick for $2. Thank you, sir. Love what you're doing down here in Australia. You know, I've heard over the last week.
I wish I was doing it in Australia.
Well, I've always wanted to go. I had the opportunity to go when I was young, and I didn't get a chance to. But people that I know that have been there love it.
Oh, it's on my top 3 for sure.
I've been told it's a very, I mean, I grew up in California. It's a very California vibe there, where, what's the word for it? Just chill,
laid back,
low key,
for sure,
laid back. So it seems like my kind of vibe. I'd love to go to Australia, but I've heard over the last week that they also have a pretty good beer scene. So if I ever make my way down there, I'm gonna
we should mention the Patreon. So we did our first giveaway last week, and Andrew was our winner, one of our patrons on Patreon, and he's an Aussie. He currently lives in New York City, but he's getting to go home to see his family in Australia for the first time in a couple of years because they just lifted restrictions. And he may send us some beer. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But no, Australian beer is great. And maybe we'll if this ever becomes my full-time gig, maybe we'll have to plan a road trip, because that would be I would
really love to do a pod from the beach.
Oh, if we're going for like a month. We're not flying all the way to Australia and doing like a 5-day tour and coming back. Like, we're gonna hang out for like 3 weeks and enjoy it.
Just long enough to get on their time zone and then completely wreck us
and get completely clapped when we come back. Yeah, that's for sure.
Clinton for $10. What do you see as the issue with the Vikings? They have a dynamic duo at wide receiver in JJ and Thielen, a do it all back in Dalvin Cook, and Madison has been playing well, and a quarterback playing well. Keep in mind, Kirk not really making the same mistakes that he has in years past. Like, he's only thrown 2 picks this year. I know it's been a little bit of a check down Charlie situation, but I would rather you check it down than force the ball and throw picks. I will say this, though. It's never one issue with the Vikings. It's just different things that take turns from week to week being the issue. One week it might be pass protection that completely breaks down, that just Kirk can't get anything going, Dalvin can't get anything going, and then the offensive line plays fine the next week. Sometimes it's penalties. Like, they just cost themselves so many yards situationally in penalties. Sometimes literally a bounce does not go their way and they end up losing by a field goal, or they miss a field goal. So many one-score games, so many winnable games that they didn't win this year for a different reason every single time. Like, the Vikings are incredible at just finding new ways to lose that aren't really consistent or like indicative of like an overarching problem. It's always something. It's just something. And I don't understand.
A young team, and that's the problem. We talked about that with Cincinnati, but Cincinnati is a young team in many ways, in their head coaching staff even, but their quarterback. Like, Minnesota is the opposite of that. Like, Zimmer is not a spring chicken. Kirk Cousins been around the block more than once. And when you start to see those issues from a veteran team, the answer more quickly becomes we got to blow it up, right? It's not a talent thing. Like, it's just not working. And it's not because we're inexperienced or we don't know what we're doing. We do know what we're doing, and we're still doing this. And you do it time after time. And the Vikings have been pretty consistent that way. And look, there is a book on all pro quarterbacks, but there is a book on Cousins. And you can beat him in very specific ways. Look, when he gets hot, he's as hot as anybody in the league. And you're right, he's limited the mistakes, but it's also limited the explosive plays. And there is a book on Cousins, and it's not, I'm just going to say, it's not hard to beat Kirk Cousins, right? You need to execute the game plan. But I would say 3 times out of 4, if you execute the book, Cousins is not going to beat you. Like, the one time he's just hot and unstoppable, and he comes out and he does it every year. He comes out and has a 450-yard game, 3-4 touchdowns. Like, you're not winning that game, but you're winning the other 3. And overall, that means the Vikings aren't really going anywhere. So,
Well, because there's 3 versions of Cousins. There's the not aggressive, accurate Cousins. There's the aggressive, accurate Cousins, which is the one that like rips your heart out because he throws for 400 yards and crushes you and they blow people out. And then there's the aggressive, inaccurate Cousins, which is the one that loses. Now, we have not really seen that this year because he hasn't been, in my opinion, as aggressive as in years past. And he's trying to weed out that, Jekyll and Hyde part of his game, which is admirable. But I also kind of wish that sometimes, specifically with some of the matchups they played this year, I want to see him get a little bit more aggressive. And will the picks go up? Yeah, probably. But as you alluded to, the explosive play rate will go up, and I think their offense will be a little bit more dynamic.
they're not lacking talent. I mean, even Cousins, like, you can say Cousins has his limitations, but he can also win you games. Wide receiving core, very solid. Running back, top flight. Tight end, okay. Like, when healthy, they have a tight end, which is great. It's not that they're short offensive weapons. Like, in the modern NFL, they're built to win, but yet they don't. And I love anime holic topics. You're telling me the Vikings are the Chargers of the NFC? Kind of, yeah.
I just looked it up. So his average depth of target this year, 6.8. Lamar's 10.1. So let's see, 6.8. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Don't miss the mugging, Brett.
Mugging?
Oh yeah, on the game.
That looked clean to me. Okay, he got there a little early. Okay, the second angle showed it.
Basically tried to pull his helmet off his head while he was moving.
Like, the second angle showed it.
Good.
Second angle showed it. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. So Kirk Cousins is 34th in the league in average depth of target.
Oh.
That's
said
exactly what I'm talking about.
A little bit of a check down Charlie. That's
maybe a lot of it of a check down Charlie.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that bad. I'm just like going off watching tape.
Speaking of it's that bad, take a look at the Pats run defense on that last run.
Let me look here. So yeah, overall, Kirk's got to stretch the field more. All right, getting up to the line here. It's from too high, too. They know they can stop it. They know you can't do anything. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
The running back's just like, oh, no. Oh, no. Help.
Yikes.
White flag.
Yikes.
White flag. That's the NFL equivalent of a white flag right there.
Curtis Rogers for $5. Should the NFL make an equivalent to the Cy Young Award for quarterbacks? Yes. I'm not even through your question already, but yes.
100%.
To allow the other offensive players to get some more exposure. 100%. There should be.
We're both strongly in agreement. If you can't tell with that, yes. Yes, and
you want to call it the Sammy Baugh slinging it, Sammy Baugh, whatever. Don't
Otto
even care what
Graham.
you call it.
I'm all Otto Graham if we're going
Otto
off. I mean, I
Graham,
love Sammy,
any
but
of them. Don't even care.
yeah.
Honestly, they'd probably name after Bart Starr, right?
We could argue about the naming. I wouldn't mind seeing 3, right? Right, because quarterback's so important and gets so much attention. We talk about quarterbacks a lot, and we actually try and talk about the rest of the depth of the league. And to the point earlier, I wanted to say, somebody said network coverage has become unwatchable. You have to pick and choose. There's good network coverage and there's not, but certainly talk radio becomes kind of impossible to listen to. My story about that is I have a 1 hour limit for the year for listening to local draft coverage, and I do it every year. Usually I'd be driving home from work or something on the first night of the draft, and I will allow myself 1 hour of listening to the local sports station draft coverage. And Mike Holmgren lives locally, and they'll have him on, and they've got the whatever. And last year I made it 12 minutes. I made it 12 minutes into the draft coverage. I was like, I just can't
do it.
Well, I don't know. Guy plays for Utah, and Utah is kind of like, I don't really like that state. And I was like, oh, okay. We're not doing this. So I appreciate that you've found your people and that we are them. We appreciate that very much.
Cam for $5. To think that we had T. Sizzle, Judon, Zadarius Smith, Michael Pierce, and CJ Mosley on our defense. Wow. When you put it that way. And that was like young Mosley too. And I still think first 2 years of CJ Mosley were like when CJ Mosley was like, holy shit, he was really good. And then he kind of broke down durability wise a little bit. And he's still good, but he's not first couple of years, CJ Mosley was amazing. Michael Pierce was awesome in Baltimore. Zadarius was very underrated piece. Sizzle was still doing it. Man, I forgot that's who they had on that defense.
But that's what happens when they draft like the Ravens. Every year this happens. We get to the end of the draft and we look back at Baltimore's draft and we go, oh man, they got that guy and that guy. They got that guy in the 5th. What?
Yeah.
Every year we do that. And when you do that every year, that's what happens is you end up with a well-stocked roster with guys that are doing it at a high level, guys that are developing and next in line to do it at a high level. That's what happens. And that's why drafting matters, right? And the Ravens have been as consistent as any team in the league at drafting well over time. Oh my goodness.
He's not wrong though.
he's not terribly wrong. He actually, I could see him. He's kind of got the neck beard thing going. He looks a little bit more like a Civil War general in the pictures, but I could see it. I could totally see it.
Eli Phelps for $10. Why is time of possession important outside of end game clock management and defensive fatigue? I hear you're keeping the other quarterback off the field, but he's going to get a possession after yours anyway. Well, it comes down to situation because you're saying, oh, you're keeping their quarterback off the field. Well, if you're leaving their quarterback 4 minutes to tie a game versus leaving them, a minute 57 because you're able to milk the clock and punt after the 2-minute warning, it takes away one more stoppage that they have available to them. And it takes away 2 more minutes of game clock they have available to them. So their call sheet shrinks. It's not just about keeping the actual quarterback off the field. It's about shrinking the call sheet. If you force them to have to be more vertical, have to play with more urgency, they don't really have a run game, a plausible run game option to them. If they have to go like 90 yards in 2 minutes with no timeouts, you're not really going to be running ISO in that situation. So again, oh, wow. Yeah, I see the hit you were just looking at.
Yeah. That's one of those ones that people don't appreciate because it doesn't look like anything and nobody's helmet got knocked off and blah, blah, blah.
You feel it.
If you're standing on the sidelines and you hear that hit, like you gain an appreciation really quickly for what all these guys go through because that's a nothing hit in the NFL. Nobody will remember that hit. And if you're right next to it, it honestly is like breathtaking.
It's a terrifying
It's
sound.
shocking. It's like, oh my God, that guy just ran into that guy full speed, and they both weigh, 200 plus pounds. Like, they were moving fast because these are some of the fastest guys on the planet. And it is, if you've never seen that on the field, like up close, it is honestly scary. Like,
Yeah.
it scares you. Like, the piece inside you that's fight or flight goes, flight, let's leave. Like, that's crazy. And you do get used to it if you spend time there. But the first time you see guys at this level going full speed in a game situation that counts, ooh, like, you realize, wow, they're taking some shots. So I would say it's not even about, I agree with you that you're leaving him less time, but it's about overall, right? If you are typical and you have a team that has 10 possessions and you're able to limit that to 7, the same statistical multipliers apply to that 7, right? So if they only make,
Hmm.
30% of 7 is less than 30% of 10. I realize that sounds like an incredibly stupid statement, but if they score touchdowns on 30% of their possessions and you gave them 3 less, it's a full touchdown less, and points matter. So there's that piece of it. And there's a little bit of the balance thing. And, I think there's less attention paid to this because of teams like the Chiefs over the past 3 years. They score instantly, right? From anywhere. They can score from 70 yards out. They can score in 2 minutes. They can score in 1 minute and 16 seconds. They can score 3 times in 4 minutes, right? So time of possession doesn't really matter because they just put up 21 points. And at the end of the day, it's points that matter. And when you see offenses that are like that put up just kind of video game numbers in terms of they could score 3 times in a quarter regularly, time of possession means a lot less. Controlling the clock means a lot less because you give it back to Pat Mahomes, he's going to score again within the next 4 minutes. He's going to get you a touchdown. Statistic
Until they run into a defense that knows how to play them, and
and
then they
stretches
have
it.
to slow the game down. Like, it's one thing to be super explosive, but then also be able to slow the game down. Like, that's why I think Dallas is a better offense than Kansas City, because they, if you're taking away the deep stuff, their quick strike stuff, they can still run the ball down your throat with Zeke. That's what they did against Carolina. They have Pollard. Like, they are more than comfortable getting into 12 personnel and just running the fucking ball. Kansas City, if they're not doing that quick strike stuff, they're not as comfortable doing anything else. So it also depends on the kind of offense we're talking about here.
And they're going to make a mistake. This year, they're going to make a
This year.
mistake. If you make them take more plays, so if typically they were scoring in 6 or 7 or 8 plays, and you make them take 13 plays, that's basically 2 of the old drives. They're going to make a mistake. They're going to get a holding penalty. They're going to take a sack. They're going to take what we call a defensive explosive play, which statistically really limits your chance to score. Like, it drops it significantly. 1 8-yard sack in a drive drops your probability to score significantly, double digits. And if you double the number of plays, the likelihood that they're going to slip up in that 13 or 14 play drive as opposed to a 6 or 7 play drive is literally
Way
double.
higher.
Literally double. So you're giving yourself more statistical chances to limit their opportunities to score, increase their opportunities to make a mistake. Like, there you go. Tablet Brothers has a question, not a super chat, but I want to answer. Bootleg Football, what is your favorite defense to watch in the NFL? And I feel like and why goes after that. After last week, it's the Dolphins.
Like, just because they don't give a shit.
You run 0-41 times, I'm watching. Like, that's must-see TV. Like, bring it on. And that allows you to highlight a talent like Javon Holland, who you said is your new favorite defender in the NFL. And I'm not going to disagree. Like, Holland has a great skill set, and he's playing out of his mind right now. He's playing fast, and that's really cool to see for a rookie. So just the fun answer right now, the answer in vogue for this week is the Dolphins, because, man, are they just sort of turning it on its head and saying, we're going to run 0 like 3 times as much as any team you've ever seen maybe in one game. And that's different. It's fun. It's cool. It's a highly aggressive attacking style of defense that says, go ahead and beat us deep. And until you can, we're going to beat you up. That's cool stuff. But
I
in terms
also
of like dread, Patriots.
oh
Like
yeah,
the
because
Patriots
it's
are just
the
like, you
slow
see
march
what they're
of
doing to
death.
the Falcons. They're beating the hell out of Matt, and they have every run just locked down. Like your hope just diminishes when you play this defense, because the chances that you're going to get those flashes that light you up, that really rip off those explosive offensive plays that really lift your offense, not likely.
I would say Saints this year have been one of my favorites to watch
Against the
because
run for sure.
it's almost disheartening because
Demario Davis is
you
going to
look at
take your
these
name.
offense and offenses can't do anything to them on the line of scrimmage. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
They're so good. They're
And
so
Demario Davis
good.
is going to hurt you. Like that game
Yeah.
against the Seahawks, I put out a tweet that said he came for business, right? And he said, "You're not going to run. You can't run on us. We're not worried about it." Like before the game, forget bulletin board material. He was like, "Nah, fam, and just backed it up all game long and just beat up, just destroyed the Seahawks running game.
Ooh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hightower almost finished that. That would
Yeah.
have been a shot of the week nominee if he was able to finish that.
Yeah. So, I mean, friend of the podcast, Coach Vass, he's got his Make Defense Great Again, podcast. And defense is fun. Like, I know it's an offensive league. We talk about the quarterback. We talk about scoring records. We talk about offense production. We talk about unicorns like Kyle Pitts. That's all great. It's all flashy, but like defense still has a ton of stars, a ton of great fun matchups, as much innovation as there is on the offensive side of the ball. It's a cat and mouse game, right? You do something, they're going to shift. You do something or swift. Yeah, they missed each other. It's okay.
I know, but Ryan almost got two dudes killed in one shot.
I understand, right? He almost went helmet to helmet, falcon to falcon
with his own guys. I don't know if I've ever seen a double hospital
nice
ball.
Bounce.
That was almost a double hospital.
They got like an 11-yard Falcons bounce on that. And Zacchaeus playing special teams, like that guy's doing it tonight. I think Zacchaeus is like, he's a great example of an NFL player that like probably 90% of NFL fans, if you're not a Falcons fan, don't know the name of. He's out there picking up like a couple key first downs in the first half. He's playing hard on special teams. He's a gunner, right? He drew a penalty earlier as a gunner. Like that's a guy that really helps make your football team a whole. And again, not getting a lot of shine. I don't know what he's making this year. It's nothing,
a couple 100,000.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that fills a roster, right? But he's out there doing it, right? He's doing it on offense. He's doing it on special teams. Like you need those guys, and just hats off to him tonight. He's been playing his butt off.
Oh, 850. He's making 850. All right, so he's a well paid.
No,
he's a well paid Santa Clara.
Minimum is what, 485?
I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, minimum is like almost $500,000. So 850 is we don't care and we can replace you in NFL language. But he's out there playing 2.5 roles for them, and well, right? Matt Ryan was waiting for him to come open on a couple of earlier plays. He knew he was going to come open, and if he threw it to him, he's going to catch it. He caught it both times. Like he's making the most of his targets. Like that's a guy that's maximizing his opportunities. Still, very few people know his name, and that's a really good football player.
Riker Gaming 21. I don't know if you have any relation to the Riker Gaming channel that does all the Diablo news and everything like that. I'm a big Diablo fan, so I watch Riker all the time. I don't know if you're related to that Riker, but if you are, I love that channel.
Brother,
Wood Herbert and Burrow have gone 1 and 2 in this year's draft class. I mean, knowing what we know now, yeah.
I mean, honestly, feeling like even what we
or
knew
if we're
pre-draft,
if we're comparing pre-draft grades for mine because I missed on Herbert, no. But in my hindsight grade of Herbert, yeah, he would have gone 1.
I don't know. I mean, just for one particular example, because we could go through the whole class, but somebody we're both very familiar with. Where would you rank Fields in that threesome?
As prospects or now?
Well, prospects for sure, because we don't know enough about Fields yet.
I would have had Fields 1.
Mm.
Probably.
Yeah, I
Like
would have had
again,
Fields
I
and
had
Burrows.
I had Fields and Lawrence 1A, 1B. Like I had Fields going number 2 to the Jet. Like I was fucking high on Fields.
Yeah, no, I love Fields, but I literally would have had, again, knowing only what we knew pre-draft, and that's the big caveat here. Not the Justin Herbert we saw last year, because that was unknown to a lot of people because his offensive staff in college didn't choose to utilize some of his best traits. Again, all three would have been very high draft picks in my book, but like Fields and Burrow would have been like 1 and 2, and I'm not sure which one I would have had first. Fields is more talented and has many of the intangibles, but Burrow has that thing where he will kill you, and that's a thing for quarterbacks. So they would have been really close for me. I'm not sure which way they would have sorted out. Herbert would have been behind them, but not far behind them, because I was higher on Herbert than you were. But again, not higher than Burrow, not higher than Fields. Like, so
Yeah. My
yeah,
grade on Fields was like astronomical.
yeah,
So
I believe he's going to be good in the NFL for a long time. That's a great run there by the Patriots, by the way.
dude,
Okay,
Ramondre
I
is
gotta say
just killing it.
the red dreads coming out over the neck roll is a heck of a look.
Oh, it's elite aesthetic.
Well, again, hats off to him, period, because I will never miss him on a film session, all 22 or not. Like, I don't need a number. Like, yeah, I got that guy. I know who that is.
Like I literally have 2 Patriots running back truck sticks.
Their
I need
running
to
game has
find
been gashing when they get that kind of wide zone off tackle look. They've torn off a couple of good 12, 13 yards where the back didn't get hit for about 7 or 8 yards.
one of these will be a shot of the week nominee because like
Uh-oh,
it's just too
Blitz!
many.
Oh, Mac just got cracked and he made a first down anyways. Wow.
I'm about to get to 3rd and 5, so I think you're ahead of me again.
You're gonna love this. Wait till you see what he does when he gets up.
All right, 3rd and 5. Looks like one rat. Yeah, they showed double mugs. They put a snip. Oh, what the fuck? They brought this. Oh my god. Okay, that wasn't one rat. That wasn't one rat at
Nope.
all.
I was just waiting. I was like, it looks like that, doesn't it?
Oh, I need
You
to.
see what he
Okay, I'm
did when he
marking
got
that
up?
down. I need to find the all 22 of that later. Dude, what a call though.
Yeah.
And
Did you
also
see what
what
he
a
did when
play
he
by
got up?
Mac. Let me look.
He was like, yep, 0. Oh man.
Man, the fact that Mac kept calm with a free safety running full speed through the line, wasn't even touched, and got
Oh
it
yeah, that
out for
guy
a
was a
completion.
train. And he saw him coming the whole time. The guy ran like 12 yards to
Dude,
get there.
what a play.
Yeah,
What a
converted the
play.
first down.
And
Oh,
that's the kind of stuff that makes me think he's going to be successful
oh. Watch your fullback on this next play.
on the 2nd and 3.
Watch the reaction. Not the initial contact. Watch the reaction. I can't wait to see your face. I want to screen cap your face for this.
He got him, was like, oh no. No. Round 2.
No, that's not how we do this.
No, you go under me.
Yeah, that is punch. Take a punch and punch back. Like that was, yeah.
All right. Jacob Johnson's my MVP for this game.
He's a lot of
Just
fun.
on
Oh
just on
boy,
entertainment value.
you're gonna like the next Mac throw too. Ton of accuracy, and from a muddy pocket. Wow, that's impressive.
Here we go. Gun.
Oh, Mahmoud Faroud.
Oh,
Seriously, who needs a DT? Because at this point, Jarrett deserves better. So does Terrell. Yeah, I'll take them both. David Terrell, sure. Or AJ.
great ball to
Oh,
Henry.
oh, spoiler alert.
Another good ball.
Nope.
Bad ball?
Nope. We were just saying his name. We were literally just saying his name.
Terrell.
Mm-hmm.
All right, where is he? 24.
What a great play.
So he's what, 9 yards off, 1 yard's in. Yeah. Oh. Okay, here's the thing. There was the speed out. I guarantee you Mac thought he was going to drive on the speed out and had zero idea he was going to come back to the seam area. He just assumed the speed out would get Terrell to flip and go back. And no, he didn't.
Yeah. No, I love the chat right now. Everybody is giving Terrell love.
Hey, he made the tackle. Hey,
that's not good. Like, stay the hell away. As a guy that watched Cutler break his thumb, stay away. Just don't go there. But no, AJ is playing as well as any corner in the league this year, and that's not hyperbole. It's not because we're watching a Falcons game. Like, he is. I've been thinking about putting a show together for Bootleg where we talk about people that aren't getting talked about that are absolutely playing the lights out because maybe their team's not doing great. AJ would be like, he was the inspiration, or him and one other guy were the inspiration for that show. Like they are playing so well, and nobody's talking about them because their team's not doing great. But you just saw why AJ is as good as he is. He didn't necessarily bait Mac, but he knew it was coming, and he made a great play on Smith, getting by that ball and just owning it. AJ, he's a corner we both liked when he was coming out. We thought that he had every capacity to be a number one corner, and he is paying that off handsomely this year. He is absolutely a number one corner in the NFL, and you just saw why. So that's why you dig in on maybe Thursday night matchups that aren't the greatest, is because you get to see great players make great plays. And whether it's fullbacks or cornerbacks or whatever, there's always something to watch. If you're here listening to this stream, you probably get that because that's why you that's
yeah.
That's your interest in football. You're not meatballing on Homer radio if you're here. Or at least
we have 270 lunatics listening to us ramble about fullbacks for 3 hours. So
I know, I love that. It's great. Jonathan Allen should be on the underrated list. Sure. Honestly,
absolutely.
We should just put out a thread and have people respond, because I think every team has a couple of players that are under the radar that are playing just great football. And
100%.
yeah, Jonathan Allen is wrecking people every week. Like, Jonathan Allen is really good. And I feel like he's actually tipped over a little bit this year, and more people are saying his name. Not a ton. He's certainly not the headliner, but like, I consistently hear that drumbeat in the circles that I run in. Like, Jonathan Allen's doing it again. Jonathan Allen did it again. Jonathan Allen embarrassed another guy this week. Like, I feel like he's getting more recognition. It's not a ton, and it's not limelight by any stretch, but yeah, he absolutely should be on the list for sure. Yeah, it's funny. Mahmoud, another super chat, brings up, remember when people were pissed about the bad game he had against Chase, and that's a game we talked about a lot. It was really the only bad game he had, and it's funny. I was going to say the line about pros that the guys on the other side get paid too. And I was like, yeah, but it's college. And I was like, well, it's actually true. The guys on the other side get paid. But no, Chase is who he was and is, and who you've seen him be this year already as a rookie. Like, getting smoked against Jamar Chase is not a crime. Like, that's everybody.
Even Pat Surtain got beat by Chase. Like,
and if you
got beat by Chase.
Look at that game, he went toe to toe with him, and yeah, Chase won more reps than AJ did.
Well, I don't know. Terrell still got 4 pass breakups.
No,
that game.
That's the thing, is he made plays in that game, and people just said, well, the overall. And again, that's what folks who don't have a ton of time, and that's most everybody, who are going to box score scout and say, well, Chase had a better line than he did, right? He got the better of him. Well, yeah, by a little bit, but it's not like he flat out just got blown off the field and you went, ooh, now I'm worried about him competing against NFL talent. It was, no, literally the best receiver in college football got the best of him in what was a contested matchup. Like, and all
3 catches.
Yeah, and all the other matchups, AJ had the upper hand against a ton of very good wide receivers. So wasn't super worried about him, but you're not wrong, Mamu. Like that was the narrative. Like, well, Jamar Chase beat him. And I was like, throw up your hands. Everybody gets beat. If you're getting beat by the best guy, I'll look at the body of work and say you're probably okay.
I look at it this way: on like 7 targets, if I remember that stat correctly, that I charted, the majority of those targets ended up in PBUs compared to receptions. So it's like
Right.
overall, it's very 50-50. People just box
Ooh.
score scout. Storm for $5. Now for flex. Tony, Ayuk, DPJ, or Scary Terry. I probably lean Tony because the Bucks secondary, in my opinion, is vulnerable at the corner position. I'd imagine the Giants are going to have to throw a lot. And Tony's very talented, especially with the ball in his hands. Wouldn't be surprised if he got a lot of targets in this game. I would probably lean Tony out of all of them.
Who are the let's see. I don't need to ask you that because I can look it up and not be lazy. Oh, come on. Browns are going against the Lions.
Yeah, but Baker's got a million injuries right
Oh,
now.
he is tuna fish at this point. His shoulder is mush. But
And his ankle, it's everything.
yeah, I don't know. But the Lions they're bordering on terrible. They're not this sounds bad. They're not the Jets, but they're pretty tough.
I feel like they're just gonna run like 40 times though.
Yeah.
You're just
Well,
gonna
very, very
give
true.
Baker a
I mean,
week off.
if I was the Browns, I probably would too. Wow, that was a rough play design, Arthur Smith. That's not good.
What, the little snag under the seam?
No, the
Or
next one.
no, you're ahead of me on 3rd and 1.
Yeah, the next one.
Oh, Tamba. Is that who you're talking about who goes on the KCSN podcast?
No. I'll find it. Now I'm just embarrassed because I can't remember the name. I was just talking with Craig about it today.
Texas linebacker?
No, hang on.
Good stop for the Patriots.
Derek Johnson.
Yeah, Derek from Texas. So I had it half right. I had his first name and I had his college. I didn't have his last name.
Anyways, yeah, no, Derek Johnson is now on KCSN Weekly, which is going to be super cool. And it makes Craig super nervous. So therefore I'm in. I love it. I give Craig a hard time about it, but we all have that. He and I went back and forth today about some of the big guests that I've been lucky enough to work with on Bootleg and Bears Over Brew last
I got stopped
year.
again.
And yeah, when you get wound up, like when you have Robert Mays on the podcast, you bring your A game. Like you do not want to get embarrassed. And so Craig gets to do that every week now. And I think it's just going to raise his game. And his game was already really high anyways. So just a little good-natured ribbing. Craig is tremendous. Does great work.
Look at this Pats D line.
Any NFL game in history. Ooh. Which game would you go to and why? That's a fantastic question, Zach. Thank you for putting that in there. That's why I love you all. That is a great game. Wow, there's so many good ones. I don't know. I might go to the Gale Sayers game.
The 6 Inches of Daylight game with the 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, the 5 touchdown game. That would be something. I mean,
Ice Bowl would be up there.
Yeah, Ice Bowl for sure. There's the Frank Gifford hit game if you're going to be back in the 50s and watching the Giants, 50s and 60s watching the Giants.
The last game in Cleveland from the first iteration of the Browns where everybody went wild in the stands.
Yeah.
Just to see it.
Yeah, I'd actually like to go back. This is going to sound a little funny, but like Norm Van Brocklin. I would like to see.
I was thinking it's like, do I want to go all the way back to like when they were playing
the Norm Van Brocklin games, like people don't realize that, everybody's like, oh, like the modern NFL is pass first and everything before that was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. No, there was this time in the 50s where there were amazing explosions of passing, like full on aerial displays that
Sid Gilman, baby.
Yeah.
Sid Gilman was the coach and they bombed it down the field.
Yeah, and they, then it changed a little bit, and then we had to get the AFL in the act to sort of bring wide open passing attacks back, and then they merge, right? And that brings that element back into the NFL, which had become more conservative, fullback and whatever else. But like the Norm Van Brocklin Rams, like, yeah, like that would be fun. So I don't know. I can't possibly answer that question because I'm a biggest blueberry guy. I'll stand there and look at the box for 20 minutes looking for the best one. So best question like
Oh,
best game in NFL history is rough.
I know what I would do
What would you do?
just because I want to hear it. I want to hear the sound of Beastquake.
Oh, yeah, that was the thing.
I want to experience Beastquake.
Yeah,
That's what I
no,
would
it
do.
was the thing for sure. Yeah, and the funny thing it wasn't just the field. Like the field, yes, actually had a Richter signature and the whole bit, but like if you were in a house in I don't care anywhere in Western Washington, Eastern Washington, where I mean, that's the thing about the size of the region that Seahawks fans incorporate is Alaska and through Western Montana, Idaho,
Idaho.
Oregon, Northern California, even depending on your team loyalty, all of Washington. Like it's a huge area geographically of the country, and like every house went nuts because it was a huge game. And it was just in such a, it was what it was. It was such an improbable moment that just everybody went crazy. I mean, you'd hear neighbors screaming and like the whole, like it was just everywhere. It wasn't just the stadium. The stadium was obviously uber loud. But yeah, God, there's so many good ones.
Anime Holocaps. You're telling me
Yes,
the Vikings are the Chargers of the NFC? Yes, that's what I'm
we
telling
are.
you. That's why when they play each other every 4 years, usually hilarity ensues because
Oh,
they are just it's like the Spider-Man meme. They're just pointing at each other like, "Hey, you're me." It's the same franchise.
oh man.
Exact same franchise. Let me get down to another one here. Houston, Paul, for $5. You're stranded on an island and can only have film from one game, but that includes any film, broadcast, all 22, etc. What
Ooh.
what game is keeping you occupied?
Oh.
This one's also really hard.
Oh, it is because there's so many angles. There's, great wins, terrible losses, what could have been, near misses. Uh if I so I'm stranded on a desert island. I don't probably want to be there because it's not going to be fun after the first little bit. Reminds me of that Denzel gives. Not fun anymore, is it? No, it's not fun anymore. And I want the endorphins. I want to be in a good mood. So I'm gonna go 85 Bears versus the Cowboys.
Mm,
Ended up as the cover shot on Sports Illustrated that week because they massacred them, pounded them into the turf, and it was just one of many games that year which were a complete domination. But you go back and watch that film, and like Buddy Ryan wasn't playing; he wanted to kill people. So
I mean, I think back like something that like I really couldn't get access to at all. So I would want like those early 2000s Miami teams that were ridiculous.
mm,
I would want to do like OU versus Nebraska in the 70s,
80s, early
or
80s,
80s,
early
you know,
80s,
where
like
they were
man,
at peak.
yeah,
Oh, no, I know. Sorry for hitting the mic. Texas USC national championship.
great game,
That's what I would want. That's what
great
I would
game.
want.
That's a great game. That's an all-time great game. Um, yeah.
Fantastic
Oh,
question. We got great questions tonight, man.
yeah, no, this is fantastic. Thanks for hanging out with us. Yeah, I'll take Grady Jarrett and AJ both on the Bears. Sure. We don't have money for either one, but yes.
You don't have money for anybody.
No, not really. No, we just had a question here. I'm gonna scroll back and find it.
Big Guns Mike for
Yeah,
five
yeah, yeah.
dollars. Please bring back your classic film room intro, LOL. I would, but it gets copyright strike every single time, so I can't do it.
And to that point, some of you in the chat may remember the bootleg intro, which was put together by our buddy Will Robinson, who also did all of our logo wear. It was a pouring beer mug with a bootleg logo on it, and it had music in the background. Well, unfortunately, the music was getting strikes, so we can't use it because if we use that little intro, we get no money from the whole video. So what we're going to do is take that video and find copyright strike free music and put it over, because people used to love that thing. Like 30 seconds before we went on or whatever, we would start playing that and people were like, here they come. It was like
I
a
actually think I
wrestling.
found some new music for that, by the way. I'll have to send
Yeah, it
it
was
to you.
like a wrestling intro. So that's coming back. So thanks for bringing that up, Big Guns Mike. Film room, you're on your own, but the bootleg,
well, because it was like this
intro
big old, it was like
live
a
stream.
film, it's like a film strip animation, some like classical, upbeat, heavy orchestral, but it would get copyright strikes every single time. So I just was like, yeah, I can't.
Was it
do
because of the
anymore.
video or because of the audio?
Audio.
Oh, okay.
But I couldn't find any other music that like fit the pacing of that, like
that you liked it. Yeah. Well,
my After Effects template. So I was like, I'll just.
All right. Well, we're working on it. We're working on
working
intros.
on it.
We've had no good luck with intros apparently, but yeah, we were both really shocked. We're like, that got a strike. Why did it get a strike? It was because the music on the beer pouring intro, and we're like, oh, wasn't even because of something we said or footage or whatever. So, oh no, Matt Ryan, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah. See, watching a game with somebody who's like 30 seconds ahead of me is fascinating.
I know it's tough.
I know what to look for now.
Oh, well, yeah, you're gonna see a thing, and then you're gonna see a thing.
Oh, how specific of you.
Well, I don't want to spoil it for everybody. They might be behind too.
Okay, empty versus too high. Bringing a bonus fire zone. Now the drop out of it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Well, that's not ideal.
That's not that's an understatement. That wins understatement of the week. That's not ideal. At least he didn't drop the ball like Ben did. Ben's dropped the ball twice on that in the last 3 weeks.
Oh, he pumped it and then got it back.
Ben's dropped the ball twice in the last 3 weeks doing that move. Once it was a fumble. But wait till the next one. Here you go.
All right, let's see.
Second Matt Ryan doing Matt Ryan things.
Usually a recipe for disaster. Let's see. One high man look, probably one rat. No, backing out of it. Still probably one rat. Oh, maybe they're bringing. No, they got out of it. They changed the look like 3 times pre-snap, but either way, it was one high regardless. So Ryan's like, I'm going to throw the crossing route. It's usually open. Oh, man, what a rub. Great design.
A great accuracy on the throw. Hit Gage right in the hands.
Is that Uche that almost got him for the sack? I think so. Patriots just have waves of dudes.
The Falcons run game on the very next play needs work. We need a big construction needs work sign to put over the Falcons run game because they're getting nothing.
Did they even try to block Barmore?
Nope, they sure didn't.
I don't know if they just let them block.
Okay. I don't know why you'd try and run it when he can do that. So,
yeah, they didn't even block him.
Nope.
Curtis Rogers for $5. Who do you think will be the best players at their positions in 3 years for quarterback, wide receiver, edge, and corner? Myles Garrett, probably for edge, you get good money on that. A guy in this game, AJ Terrell, very easily could be considered best corner in the league within 3 years, if not earlier than that. Like, he's really, really phenomenal. Oh, great ball to Kyle Pitts. He's playing injured, by the way. Rolled his ankle. Quarterback is anybody's guess. There's a lot of young quarterbacks that are really good. Okay, you're just on a roller coaster of emotions tonight, aren't you?
This is a roller coaster of a drive. Like, amazing throw, terrible run, bad sack, amazing throw, and then this.
All right, let's see here. Again, another one high look. Looks like they're going to be in 3. No, they're in 1.
Oh, sadness.
Oh, what?
Right.
What
Just,
was?
just not. Just don't,
I'm
Matt.
not
You're smarter than that.
100% what he was. What
He was going for Pitts and he just chucked it up. He literally just chucked it up. And he was getting pressure and he thought, I'm going to make a play. You're going to make a play for them, Matt. Don't do it. That was a rainbow. It was not a
Yeah,
good.
that wasn't even close.
No, Pitts looked
Oof.
at it, but yeah. Anyways, quarterback, 3 years. I think
It's
Fields would be in the
impossible to say.
conversation. What's
It's
that?
it's it could be Herbert, it could be Lamar, it could be Pat, it could be. I mean,
Could be
there's so many
Fields.
young quarterbacks. Could be
3 years
Fields,
from
could be
now, could be
Lawrence,
Fields.
could
Best
be
wide
Mac
receiver.
Jones.
I'm gonna say Kyle Pitts.
Cheeky,
Cheeky.
possible. I'm gonna say Jamar Chase.
You can. That's
Chalk,
chalk. I'm
chalk.
good with that. But like
Edge. I still think Miles, and then corner. I think AJ Terrell. Or
yeah,
because Jalen Ramsey will be 30, I think, at that
yeah.
point.
I don't even know that. I just think corner and wide receiver, let's be honest. There's a lot of players. Somebody super duper special is gonna have to come along to bump Myles Garrett off that spot. I mean, you never know. But I mean,
Could be Chase Young.
TJ Watt's playing really well. Could be Chase Young. They're gonna have to stay healthy. Miles has to stay healthy in the same way. Could be Thibodeau 3 years from now. Like he'd be on his third season. Could be
Add
Thibodeau,
10, 15
who's gonna be
pounds.
drafted
Yeah.
this year. There's so much movement and in order to answer this question, just go back 3 years ago and just read like statistical leaders off NFL.com in whatever category you want, like wide receiving leaders, tight end receiving leaders, quarterbacks, whatever. And then look at the lists from midway through this season. Like you will see names that like have fallen hard who aren't even there. Like, and that's just look, the average career in the NFL is like 3.4 years, 3.9 years, something like I think it's 3.4. Like that's an entire career for some guys, a lot of guys. When somebody, which is why I hate the phrase 10-year starter, I'm like, do you realize how rare that is statistically? Like a starter for all of those 10 years. Because there's a lot of guys that are 5, 6, 7-year starters, and then they become journeyman or fill-in or swing tackle or whatever. Like 10-year starter is exceptionally rare. Started all 10 years. And people use that phrase around draft time all the time. Oh, he's a 10-year starter, plug and play, 10-year starter. And I'm like, plug and play, like 6-year starter would be amazing. That's into your second contract.
Yeah.
So, there are very few guys that fit that description. And the just ebb and flow of who's best at, some really premium positions that you've listed off. A lot of candidates really depends on a great many things: coaching staff, stability, health. But some of the guys, well, all the guys we named have a chance to do that. But, I wouldn't bet on any of them, honestly, because there's just so many variables.
This is a super chat I love. Matthew Wright for $5. Spin off the other questions. If you could go back in time and change the outcome of any game, which one it would be? I have 2 answers that are in recent history, just because I would be fascinated. Yeah, it's DPI or holding or something.
Well, it's not a hip check. Like he ran into him and the guy was there. I'm not wild about that call. I understand why they called it, but
so I have 2 answers from recent history, just because I'd be fascinated to see what the narratives are today. What? Another play coming up?
Yup.
Okay, let's see.
And it's a flag, which is a bummer because and it's coming back. Bummer. Ramondre just went off.
Let's see here. Oh, I don't know how he got out of that missile of a tackle in the backfield.
Yeah, but there are 3 more. He makes 3 more moves. Like he went off. And, that was Grady Jarrett. Like that run came back because of Grady Jarrett. Right?
Because he drew a hold.
Oh, he gets hooked.
Let's see. Oh yeah, that's a hold. That's not even close. That's Yeesh.
Oh,
So I would change
284.
the outcome of 2 games. I would move Cody Parkey's field goal 6 inches to the right
It's one of mine.
because I just want to see if the Bears win the Super Bowl that year, and then I would change the outcome of that Rams Saints playoff game with the non-call DPI.
Glass,
I would
yeah, the big glass.
slightly arrange the ref's eyes towards that and have them pull out the flag because I want to see if the Saints would win the Super Bowl that year too because I think they legitimately could have. Those 2 plays I think would very significantly alter current narratives
About a lot of things.
about a lot of things. Actually, I think those were the same year, if I remember correctly. They might have been the same year.
No, I think it's year after. I think the Saints DPI was a year after Double Doink.
Maybe it was.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But Double Doink was one of mine because I really believe the Bears, I'm not going to say win the Super Bowl because I'm not sure that they would have, but they would get
at
to
least
the
get
Super
there.
Bowl.
They
would
to it,
get
yeah.
there, almost certainly. And it would have just been interesting from then on as to what happened. The Saints one was just egregious. I know Rams fans don't think so, but it was real bad.
Oh, if Mo Lewis doesn't hit Bledsoe, Brady is still a Hall of Famer.
I think that's maybe is Brady still a Hall of Famer? And the answer is maybe not.
I think it depends on oh my god, Damian Harris. I think it just depends on how long would it take for Brady to get on the field. You know, does Bledsoe play the rest of his career in New England and Brady's a backup for 6 years and then he finally gets a chance? Like it's like, well, if Brady is still Brady, he still probably would play for 10 years after being a backup anyway. So I think when you look at Brady's career, he has literally three Hall of Fame careers in the same career. If he just lost the first one to Drew Bledsoe, but still ended up being Tom Brady, I still think he's probably a Hall of Famer.
Yes, he absolutely could be if he stays in New England. And I think that's really important. And this is not a Belichick made Brady argument. This is if Tom Brady never had any playing time and he was a backup and he ended up, Bledsoe's going to sign another contract, right? Because we're not going to get rid of our established starter. And Brady has to move on because they're not going to re-sign him to a second contract as a backup quarterback. He doesn't have any pedigree. He's a 6th rounder out of Michigan that's never played. Like he's a straight up clipboard holder and he has to go somewhere else where he has a coaching staff that's as good. Can't do it. Coaching staff is nowhere better over the last 20 years than in New England. I mean, we're seeing that with Mac Jones tonight, right? And he's got to get that opportunity. And then he's going to have another Bledsoe-like moment where they're not going to sign him to be the starter, right? We're all like, well, that would be crazy because Brady's the best quarterback in history only because he played and won, right? If he's a journeyman backup with no starts, he gets signed to be a journeyman backup clip holder, camp arm, whatever. And again, he has to have that sort of daily double of great coaching staff and started getting injured and he comes in and plays well. Like the combination of elements there is in no way certain. So it's a lot less likely. It's not that Brady's any less of a player. It's that he still needs that opportunity. There have been a lot of good NFL players who have tremendous talent who have never amounted to anything.
I still sometimes wonder. It's like, if we made Robert Kimdiche care about football, what could have his career been?
Or, if Jeff George played in an era where, it was wide open and he could have played the way he always wanted to and sort of didn't listen to coaches and played anyways. Like, right. If that didn't imagine if that made him popular instead of unpopular, right? You're still going to get some boneheaded decisions, but that guy was so crazy talented.
D Ford is onside. KC Saints fireworks in the Super Bowl. That's a good one.
I agree.
Because they had him.
Great job, Mac. No, that's a tremendous ad. That's why we love opening up the chat and why we love having smart fans is because there's no right answer to this question. There's a lot of good answers though. And that's a good answer.
Short round. What we're talking about is if you could go back in time and change the outcome of one football game, what would it be and why? And it doesn't even need to be like you completely undo somebody getting blown out. It could be like literally you change one play
Yep.
and it changes the outcome, or you move a field goal 6 inches or whatever. It's an interesting question.
Yeah, the funny one is I like it downstream, right? I like the ones that led up to the Super Bowl. Like we could say, oh, Kevin Dyson makes the end zone. Well, great. They win the Super Bowl and then you reset and everybody goes back. Like, yeah, the Super Bowl winner is different, but what's the other cascading effect of that? And it's probably not a ton, right?
Not a whole. It's a new season after
But
that.
like 3 games before that, team that never made it that really could have made some noise. Those are the ones that are more interesting to me.
Like I have one. What would have happened if in the Tank Bowl the Jacksonville Jaguars ended up with the number 1 pick in 2012 and got Andrew Luck and not Indy? Is he still playing?
Maybe, and Jacksonville probably has some trophies.
Like I honestly think like he's still playing today, and
Yeah,
Jacksonville
and anything we could
is
do to make
good.
Andrew Luck still play today and not hate his life, not be completely wrecked physically is I would move heaven and earth to make that happen because what happened to him in Indianapolis is literally a crime. It's a negligent crime, right? And Gregson was just so slow to act and wasted not just a generational talent, but maybe one of, again, if he's protected and healthy, one of the top 20 quarterbacks of all time who've ever played quarterback in the NFL. All that we're talking Sammy Baugh, Otto Graham, the whole bit. We might have had a quarterback who was in the top 20 of all time. He had everything you need. And he just got beat mercilessly, and we didn't get to see him. I don't blame him at all for walking away. I would have as well. But it's just so sad as a football fan. Again, people think we root against players that maybe we didn't have a high draft grade on or whatever else. Like, no, we want everybody to succeed because it makes better football. We know that won't happen. We're realistic, but we want to see, every football player play as well as they can because that's a better product. Oh, cameraman got doinked.
If Dez catches it, Romo in Super Bowl that year with how good that team was, they might have won the Super Bowl. Like they were awesome that year.
Yeah.
Oh
What
wow,
about
yeah,
the
the camera,
Romo? What
the
about the
camera got
Romo
hurt.
missed snap handle?
Yeah, that's another one. It's amazing how many times the Cowboys have come so close. And honestly, this is probably a better Cowboys team this year than any of those teams. Like I wouldn't be surprised
Yeah,
if they made a
yeah,
real run.
yeah. The head coaching always brings me back a little bit. I know he's not.
What
I know he's not
coordinators?
running the team, but boy, it's very hard for me to root for a Mike McCarthy head coached team because I just think they're probably
Oh,
missing out.
great play by Matt Ryan. Did you see him climb,
I
find the
just
late
I
shallow?
I kind of want to record this or really any other Falcons game because I know a lot of non-Falcons fans don't watch Falcons games because they haven't been great. They haven't gotten a ton of primetime games. This is one of the few that they'll play this year. Like Matt Ryan is a legitimately great quarterback. Like he has been getting the hell pounded out of him tonight. His elbow's bleeding, his foot's probably torn apart. He limped to the sideline. He is out there throwing darts. Like the run game's doing nothing. He has no run game tonight, and both sides know it. Oh, did he throw another one? He stepped out, but did he throw another one? Did JC get it?
I'm gonna say in a second. I'm watching Judon on every play because Judon is murdering this right tackle.
Yeah. Did he get it? Oh, you stopped it for him. 1, 2. Yeah, he had it. JC Jackson, just another pick adding to his league leading total since he entered the league.
Ball magnet. Yeah, he
Great
got
play.
that. He for sure got that.
Well, that's the thing is like, that's not on Ryan. That literally hit the receiver in the hands and the receiver gift wrapped it to him, slowed it down. If he hadn't touched it, it would have gone right past JC. And if he obviously grabbed it, it wouldn't have gone to JC. The only thing he could have done was tip it and hold it up there for JC at the sideline, and he did. And I'm not saying he did it on purpose. He obviously didn't, but that's the only outcome where JC gets that pick, and he got it to his credit. But that's not on Matt. I mean, it's a little high. It's not a
Ball
great
could have been
throw,
better. Ball could have been
absolutely
better.
could have been a better ball, but like also could have been caught.
For $10 or MHM. Not sure if it's initials or just
I
What
like
if Jimmy
better.
Garoppolo hits Emmanuel Sanders on that deep throw with 130 left in the Super Bowl, or the Texans don't derp themselves against the Chiefs in the divisional round?
Oh, they're pulling heartstrings here for you. That's ugly.
Well, I don't necessarily think much changes for the Texans if they beat Kansas City that year, because they still probably don't win the Super Bowl. But if Jimmy hits that deep throw to Emmanuel Sanders, the 49ers probably win that Super Bowl, and the Chiefs are ringless. And I think we look at the legacy of the Chiefs over the last 4 years in this little dominant run they've been on. I think we look at them a little bit differently as like the team that's really good but can't finish the job, and that's a reputation that stuck with Andy Reid for a long time. And I'm so happy for Andy that he got his ring and finally got, over that hump.
For sure.
But I think that game would have been a continuation of the narrative of that Andy Reid teams are always right there,
Yeah, bridesmaids.
but can't finish it. Yeah, always bridesmaid, never the bride. So I'm happy that it worked out for Kansas City in that one game because it kind of bucked that narrative for once. But that one throw, if you change that one throw, they probably go right back to being in that spot.
Yeah. Another good super chat about Romo's legacy. How different is Romo's legacy if he wins it? If he wins
Hall of
one?
Famer.
I think it's very different. And, people are like, and people are going to take this the wrong way, I think, when I say, Romo is not unlike Peyton, right? He had a lot of good years, played very well, never won it, right? And Peyton hadn't won it. And if he didn't until the end, I'm not talking about the Broncos one. I'm talking about the one he won over the Bears, right? If Peyton doesn't win that game, it nagged him. And Peyton Manning, like demonstrably great quarterback. Well, strangely enough, Tony Romo, demonstrably great quarterback without a ring. And if that changed, it would be very much like the change that happened when Peyton won that one in 2006 in the rain in Miami.
Yeah.
Like that is a big deal for voters, for quarterbacks, for legacy, for fans that, come 15, 20 years from now and never got to see Tony Romo play, right? They go back, they're going to say, well, he was good. He had a good number. He never won a Super Bowl. Like, well, yeah, it's true. He didn't.
When Peyton won that ring, it was amazing how fast he went from being compared to Dan Marino to being compared to Joe Montana.
Yeah. Yeah.
He just went to a different category in one game.
Yeah. And then he wins another one at the end of the career, and that really cements it. But Romo's legacy, I think, very, very different. Romo's one of those guys, again, because of status, because of pedigree, it mattered. Peyton, like number one, right? Number one, right up high. Romo undrafted, and you're always fighting against that. It's like when you see number one picks get umpteen chances around the league, right? It doesn't matter what position they're at. Like, oh, he's on his fourth team. Why? He hasn't done anything with the last three. Oh, he's a number one pick. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas undrafted free agent, don't really make it on the first team. You're probably not getting a second. You might, but you're not getting a third or a fourth. People aren't calling you up like that unless you have a very particular skill, like you're a long snapper or something. But quarterbacks and super high first round picks, you're gonna get all that. And Romo always fought against that. His numbers, if you said Tony Romo was a first round pick and he played the way he did, you would have said that's a good value.
Yeah, and a great career.
Yep.
He could have been a number one overall pick and had a great career with his numbers and legacy and everything like that.
Yeah.
Evan Sartan for $5. The double doinks in would have changed up the entire NFC playoff picture. Absolutely.
Hard agree.
Not even a debate. Not even a debate.
Ooh.
Different team goes to the Super Bowl that year if that field goal goes in.
Yeah. And the whole legacy around Chicago, forget the narrative around Chicago changes, right? That's not a playoff team anymore. That's a Super Bowl team, right? Even if you didn't win it,
Mhm.
right? The things
Then
that have
Nagy
come,
never gets fired.
yeah, the things that have come since just don't occur if that's a Super Bowl team, or they occur a year or two later because there's that shine, there's that halo effect, right?
And I think it's Mitch Trubisky becomes the new Joe Flacco, because think of how many years 2012 bought Joe Flacco in Baltimore when it was very clear that it wasn't going to work after that
Yep.
1 year. They made
Yep.
him the highest paid quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
He was a drain on their cap for a long time and not playing up to it. I still don't think he ever threw for 4,000 yards in a season, which is insane. And I think if the Bears win the Super Bowl that year, Mitch Trubisky, unfortunately, because of the coaches that he was working with, probably goes that same route where he gets all these extra years that most players wouldn't get just because a Vic Fangio defense won a Super Bowl for him. So,
How crazy is it, speaking of that the Ravens have two of those guys?
Dilfer and, well, because they're a great defensive legacy
I
team.
understand. I don't really think you can do that anymore, but like Dilfer was very clearly the great defense carrying him. Flacco was, he hit the ultimate gambler's hot streak at the right time.
Yeah. And
Like
also Dennis Pitta. Dennis
he
Pitta
got,
was fucking amazing.
yeah, he got white hot for a 5-game stretch and wins a Super Bowl out of it. And then never, that, and then regresses to the mean. We talk about that all the time. And for literally the rest of his career, all those contract years, he regresses to the mean. Everybody keeps waiting for it. Like, why isn't he, like he was when he won the Super Bowl? Because that's the hottest he's ever going to play. It's the best stretch of athletic performance that guy's ever going to have. And it was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go back and watch that, he was lights out, but it was only for like 5 or 6 games. And how crazy
In
is
a
it?
contract year, when he
Yeah, I
bet on
know. It's the
himself.
perfect storm. But like, how crazy is it that the Ravens have two of those guys in fairly recent history, Dilfer and Flacco?
I'm trying to think back. You know what's actually like kind of nuts? So the 2017 quarterback class, we still think of all them as like puppies, which is, that's the Trubisky and the Mahomes and all them.
Sure.
They are now in the same year now that Flacco won that Super Bowl in.
Correct.
And
And
it's wild how time flies, because I still think of all these guys as like, oh yeah, they're young, they're brand new.
yeah,
It's like, no, Flacco won it as a veteran.
yeah, just wait till players you scouted kids get coaching jobs. So
Oh
you
my
see it all the time. I mean, we got Asante Samuel Jr. We got like that. That always happens, right? Wow, I'm old. Like Asante Samuel's kid is playing corner for the Chargers, right? Wait till Asante Samuel Jr. is old enough that he goes out and he's like a 30-year-old head coach for like San Jose Coastal College or something, and you're like, oh my god, like Asante Samuel's kid is a coach. Yeah, it'll happen. I'm telling you,
It'll happen.
it'll happen.
So I think I'm 2 for 2 on this game, because if I remember correctly, look at my slip.
Oh, you got a slip. I like the slip.
It's not a real money slip. I don't know if any of you follow me on BetSperts, which is a free app, by the way, that I just submit picks on every single week. You don't need to pay anything, and you just find my profile on BetSperts. It's under Brett Coleman. I know, I'm original. And you just see what picks I put in from week to week and kind of track how I do. And I had New England -7, and I had the under. The over-under was 47 for this game, by the way, believe it or not. So it's beating that by 30.
Yeah, do you get double the payment because it missed the 100 mark by double?
So I'm 2 for 2. I'm picking
Nice.
in this game.
Oh, I like that. Somebody says Eli Manning gets sacked before throwing a helmet catch to Tyree. Yeah, about 5 things happened before the helmet catch to Tyree, which was his own incredible and very unlikely play. But you go back and look at most games, and there are multiple things. I mean, we just go back to like last Thursday night's game, Bears Steelers, right? With the crazy calls and Justin Fields almost willing the Bears to win despite being on the road, despite playing a superior team, despite some terrible calls. He almost said, "Can it? I'm going to win it anyways." Like, couple of plays, maybe 1 or 2 plays go a different way in that game, and Justin Fields ends up winning that game on the road. Now, it's not a Super Bowl game. It's not going to send the Bears to the playoffs. It's not going to knock Pittsburgh out of the playoffs. It doesn't have that kind of implication, but that's a pretty big turn game for a guy early in his career that's had some like, oh, he's no good because he got sacked 15 times in his first start. Well, yeah, he also had less than 2 seconds until he got touched most times. So it doesn't have the same kind of league changing impact, but like legacy changing impact. Oh, you remember when he went into Pittsburgh, that crazy game, and won the whole thing by himself against the fans, the refs, and the other team? Like, what that was really good. Like, I think every game when you watch, if you really go back, has those sort of pivotal plays, 2 or 3 of them, and you're like, ugh, went the other way. That game turns out very, very differently.
So sorry, I should probably throw the question up on there before I answer
We
this.
should shout out Reed and
Consti.
Reed from Betts and
how is Consti, who's one of our executive producers, by the way. How you doing, Consti? How is Brett's pick'em for this week? I did not trust this game at all, so I only did like $5 slips on underdog. So I did over Damian Harris for 61 rushing yards. He's at 56. I did over Mac Jones for 250 passing yards. He's at 207. He's not going to get that. Over on Zacchaeus for 32 receiving yards. He's at 23. Probably not going to get it. Well, he might get it. Kendrick Bourne I did over for 35 reception yards. He's got 42. And then Hunter Henry over for 32 yards. He's got 25. So I would need, I'm close. I need like 5 or 6 rushing yards from Damian Harris. And then I need Mac to throw like a bomb to Hunter Henry to like ice the game after an 80-yard touchdown from Zacchaeus. Like, I'm not completely out of it, but this is why I only put in $5 on the slip, because I was like, Thursday games are kind of trash and I don't trust it at all.
Pretty much out of it. Yeah, Mac just ran another sneak, his like 4th of the night. Except that one, they knew which way he was going to go.
Thoughts on potential Diggs versus Mahomes INT fest? You know,
he'll have his chances.
This strikes me as one of those games where like the narrative is that Mahomes is going to throw a lot of picks, but I don't feel like he will.
I feel like they dialed that in last week. And yes, it was Raiders in one high, and we had that question earlier. And I do feel like, just from the things that you can see Kansas City controlling, that they're going to control in any game, staying on sides, coming off the ball together in the run game, things that, they've done up and down, but not consistently. I felt like they consistently did those things better last week. They still made their share of errors, but not the same share of errors that they've been making. So I'm with you that I think they're a little more dialed in. I don't think Mahomes is going to be completely scattershot. And sure enough, we get America's Game of the Week and a highlight graphic as we're talking about it. So love that segue. We should say Guten Morgen to Consti, because
Guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen.
I have a terrible German accent.
I think he's laughing about it right now. Maybe when we go to Germany, he can work on our pronunciation of the beer. But no, he's just waking up.
Sam Dog said, "How do we find your picks on BetSperts?" And so I'm going to throw up my username on BetSperts, just my profile over there. Again, it's a free app. You just see my picks from week to week. I found that to be a lot easier than like throwing them up on Patreon.
Yeah.
Because now like anybody can see them and everything like that. And then I do different benefits for my patrons now. So they get to like vote on episode topics and stuff like that. But I wanted my picks to be more public. And I found like this platform is like a way easier way to do it. So yeah, that's my profile on BetSperts. Yeah, you're out of it. Falcons have no timeouts. Yeah, I'm probably fucked.
Yeah, they just kicked the field goal with under 2 minutes to go, 19-0 Pats. So, yeah, your bet's not looking great, but
the main thing was hitting on the over/under and hitting on the spread. So I'm okay with that. We're still 2 for 2 where it matters.
Yeah.
What if Rashard Higgins doesn't fumble out of the end zone? Do the Browns beat the Chiefs? That was last year, right? I think it was last year.
Uh-oh. Josh, we're going to get Josh time.
Rosen's coming in. I mean, yeah. I mean, you got an older quarterback with like clearly a turf toe injury.
And a bleeding elbow and probably some
Yeah.
internal bleeding.
Like, let's just get out of here.
Yeah,
Let's
like let's not
throw
subject him
throw
to
this guy to
anything
the
more.
wolves. And honestly, the Patriots should throw in their backups on defense too. Like it's 19-0 with 2 minutes left. Like, let's just get out.
I don't know. As an early Josh Rosen defender, I'm excited in a way that I shouldn't be.
You know he's going to throw a pick here, right?
Yeah, I do. That's why I'm not excited.
Like
He's gonna
that's
try
what's going to
hard.
happen.
He's not gonna move a lot. He's gonna get. I mean, the Belichick family combination is gonna move him off his spot, and that's the kryptonite. And
Well, because all these Patriots backups that are trying to hit contract incentives are now, it's like, oh, if I'm going to get a sack, it's now. You know?
well, at least we got an exciting return on it. That was good. Can Atlanta get a quality edge rusher in the draft? Of course, you can always get a quality edge rusher in the draft.
Yeah, there's a
Stop finding the right
million of
one.
them. They'll
Um,
probably going to end up somewhere around 6 and 11 to like 8 and 9 is how I would guess Atlanta.
right, which puts them solidly anywhere from about 12th to about 22nd.
Yeah, I mean, literally, that's the kind of range we're looking at here.
Yeah, if
Which
they're
you're not going to get Aiden Hutchinson, you're not going to get Thibodeau. You might
well,
be able to
no,
get
but those aren't the
Karlaftis.
only good edge rushers in the draft, right?
No, there's Karlaftis. There's the Mississippi State kid. There's the Florida State kid. There's blank.
Yeah.
It's a deep, 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 deep edge class.
Yeah,
Like
and
you're
we're going to
not.
see small school guys, especially with, Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl. We're going to see some small school edge guys who, again, if you're going to bet on edges later on down, even at the end of the first round, oh, God, what did I say? What did I say?
What did you say?
I said the Belichicks are going to move Rosen off his spot and it's over. Watch the first play.
I see a little speed out. So second and like 3 is coming up. Yeah, they still got the starting offensive line in there though. That's interesting. All right.
And Judon's still playing.
It looks like is that? Yeah, it's just Ripley's match. Uh-oh.
Oh, he did it!
He on the third play, the one that's coming up for me.
Yeah. Oh, pick 6 to Van Noy.
Oh, I thought you meant touchdown. No, he actually threw a pick.
He threw a pick 6, not just a pick 6.
I was like half joking. I didn't think he'd actually do it.
The Belichicks are
Jesus.
looking at the scoreboard like, did he just do that for us?
Oh no. Okay, let's see what happened.
He throws it right into Van Noy's face mask. Like
Oh, how do you not see him?
no, he's right there. He threw it right to him.
Oh no.
He's in frame when he lets it go. This is not like some amazing range play. He hit him right in the face mask. That's terrible.
No. I was like half joking when I said he was going to throw a pick. I didn't think he'd actually do it.
Well, see, is that the curse? I don't know, because you said it was going to happen and it did happen. Is the curse always the anti, or can the curse be like, I think he's going to do a bad thing, and then he does a bad thing? I'm not sure. I'm still trying to figure out this whole curse thing. Like, it's got to have parameters. Look at Josh like, I can't believe I did that.
9 mistakes. 9 mistakes. Oh my God. What a meme of a quarterback.
I know.
Well, okay.
Skurtberger, I can't believe that I had Rosen at QB1 that year either. He has turned out to be so far away from that. But
is this going to be Scorigami 25-0?
Could
might be Scorigami.
All right, somebody check Scorigami. Stared it down just a bit. Yeah, you think? First read, I got it, I don't got it. Like, oh man, honestly, that's a play you'd see in college from like a backup freshman. Like, it's just, there's nothing about that that's like, oh, it was super sneaky and they, showed this and did this. Like, Van Noy floats into coverage, but literally he's breaking that way before the route is thrown. He's in frame before Rosen lets it go. He just throws it right in his face mask. Like, blah.
I think that might be I mean, has any game ever ended 25-0?
I don't know. Find out. Scoregami's easy enough to look up.
Yeah.
Nah,
I mean, at least
Tom,
that.
you're not a dumbass. There were a lot of people that had Rosen high, including me. I had Rosen number 1. Fully admitted. I like Josh Rosen that year. For the first. Oh, what the hell is Scoregami? Great question. Scoregami is unique ending final scores in NFL history. So if a score has a particular score combination has never been recorded before, it's called Scoregami. And there is a website that tracks this, and it's become, ESPN even did a feature on it. Oh, he threw another one.
No.
Yes.
Okay, I'm still behind. I just got to the
I
return.
don't even like this is it. Oh, wait. That's not Rosen. That's Franks? Who is that?
Felipe Franks is it now? Oh my
Hang on.
God, he got one drive.
Felipe Franks gunned it right to the under. As he's undercut the whole way. Gage had no shot. This is why, folks, when people said, "Oh, Felipe Franks is a massive athlete. He's got a crazy arm. He's a former baseball player. He's going to play quarterback."
Oh.
We watched Felipe Franks play quarterback, and we said, "No, he's not. He is a tremendous athlete. You want to move him to tight end? You do that. You want him to chuck Hail Marys? You can do that too. If you wanted to play quarterback week to week and do all the things necessary that a quarterback needs to do, Felipe Franks is not your guy." That's what we said pre-draft. Crazy arm, amazing athlete, not a great quarterback. And there's a lot of guys like that. And there's guys on the other side, not at all great athletes, like Kellen Moore, right? Kellen Moore, not a great athlete. Was a good quarterback, but just didn't have the arm to compete in the NFL. Was amazing, Boise State. Like, set all kinds of records, threw moonballs all night long, and ran up the score on the blue field, right? Felipe Franks is the opposite. He is a top-level athlete, like crazy. He was on our freaks list, our bucket of clay list, or whatever, the ball of clay episode. That's what that was. He was on that as a quarterback because he's just a crazy athlete. He's not a quarterback. And you saw it right there. Undercutting defender with leverage. Again, no mistaking or disguising. Threw it right to him.
I do find it interesting that the Patriots won by 25.
Okay.
Drink.
Yeah, we'd be thrashed right now. I don't think we'd be speaking if we'd been playing that game, but yeah. I don't know. Lessons coming out of this. If you get a quarterback, don't let him go. Like Matt Ryan, great job. They need a running game, whatever. Mac Jones on the other side looks like he's the answer for the Patriots, at least in the short term, but possibly long term going forward. He's playing very, very well. And quarterbacks are rare. You don't usually have more than one, like Atlanta sure doesn't. They brought in each backup quarterback for one play or one series, and they both threw a pick. Starting quarterbacks are rare birds. True starting quarterbacks are rare birds, and do everything you can to get one and then keep them because change your franchise.
I'm looking at you, Seattle
and Green Bay. You want to go to Jordan Love? Really? You want to go to Jordan Love?
You really want to go to Jordan Love? You sure?
No,
you want to take one of the 5 greatest quarterbacks to ever walk this planet and go to Jordan Love?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Mahmoud has one more for us. This is why I didn't want Fields in Atlanta behind this line. Yeah, well, his O-line's so much better. The Chicago O-line's been absolutely made of paper mache. Would have been criminal to have him run for his life. It has been. I don't know how to answer that because the first 2 or 3 starts, which again, he wasn't even going to get in Chicago. Like they gave him no reps with the ones. They said Andy Dalton's our starter, and they meant it. They gave Justin Fields no reps with the ones in camp, and he didn't come in until Andy got hurt. Like they were serious about this, which is mind blowing. But even so, his first 2 or 3 starts were pretty criminal. He got smashed. He had no time to throw. Basically, lots of national pundits came out and said, "There's no assessment here. Don't even pay attention to what Justin Fields is doing because nobody would succeed in these conditions." Yeah, it is criminal to have him run for his life. Looks like the Bears line is achieving, I hate to say stability, but some level of stability for them, which is good. Folk missed that on purpose to troll the Falcons. Maybe
possible.
Maybe. Oh, but this has been fun.
Yeah, no, I like doing these streams with a partner. Gives because honestly, now I know how Troy and Joe Buck feel in an absolute snoozer of a game where it's like we got to vamp for the last 20 minutes of
We're
game
just going to
clock.
talk about anything else. We're talking about Felipe Frank's draft assessments. Oh boy.
It's a lot easier to vamp when you have a partner. I'll tell you that much. So I
Yeah,
really
for
enjoyed
sure.
this stream. I really enjoyed this
Free
stream.
free Khalil Herbert. Yes. It's tough. David Montgomery's great back too, but Khalil showed a lot of gas and definitely has a place. Should be a big place going forward. I almost see it like a Zeke and a Pollard situation, right? Where it doesn't really matter who you bring in, you're going to get solid contributions from both. So, yeah, good times.
Well, now that the game's over, I think we're going to leave you all. But thank you for coming out, showing up strong, sticking with us for over 3 hours on this little watch along stream. We'll have to do this again. This was really fun. Remember, if any of you are patrons that are watching right now, you get discounts over on bootleg merch over at the bootlegfootballpodcast.com, or you can find us on Patreon, link down in the description below. If you want to support the show, again, entirely up to you guys, but we appreciate everybody who does. And we'll see you guys back here Wednesday, I believe, for the next pod when that's dropping. And until then, see you guys later.